And we are live.
What is up, fight fans? We are live on MMA Weekly. It's UFC on ABC2, UFC Vegas, UFC Fight Night, whatever you want to call it. We are here for you right now. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease, along with my man Jeff Cain. And let me tell you something, Jeff, I am excited to be back on. When the UFC has a week off, it feels like a month after the way the year started, man, with so many fights and so many things going on. Now here we are right back after the 1 week free pass with no fights, right back here with UFC. We see a little bit as it was supposed to be Marvin Vettori. You know, obviously the one guy, well, one of two, including Kelvin Gastelum, who really fought Israel Adesanya very, very well. He's still the main event. Kevin Holland stepping in. And, you know, we were really looking forward to the fight for sure with Darren Till. And Darren Till breaks his collarbone or whatever he did to it. And, you know, he's out of this fight, which was a matchup of two top fivers. And now you have a guy with no realistic chance to get a title shot anytime soon stepping in Holland, albeit an entertaining guy. And they're very lucky that he just fought and he wasn't too beat up. He just lost to Brunson a couple weeks ago, that he wasn't too beat up to step in and fill that void on ABC TV. Big opportunity for Big Mouth today.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of made a name for stepping up on short notice and being successful in those opportunities and bouts where he steps up on a few days' notice. I think he tied the record for the quickest turnaround. But yeah, this is a terrible matchup for him.
Was it quicker than? It's quicker than Moreno, and isn't it a week sooner than Moreno and Figueiredo?
No, it's the same.
Wasn't that like 3 weeks?
I have to look it up, but I think that they threw up the graphic. Yeah. I think it tied it, but I could be wrong there. But still, he's kind of made a name for himself by doing these short notice fights, man. I think he did.
You know what I've always wanted to see
tonight, though.
Well, we're going to get to that, Jeff. UFC on ABC2, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. 3 levels for 3 levels of pain and discomfort. It eases stress and anxiety as well as helps you sleep, and it takes away the pain. I wish this pain would go away. Yep, that's Puff Daddy right there, in case you're wondering. No way out, but it's true. I mean, the pain goes away with Level Select CBD and products from CBD Emporium. And right now, because we love you, because you're here on our YouTube, because you subscribe, because you're liking it, because you're in the chat room, because you're regular and you're here all the time watching us and consuming the content, you're going to get 50% off right now. All you have to do is go to stayinthefight.MMA.com and enter the code, there it is, MMA50, which is the age I'll be next year. By the way, where my dog's at? RIP to DMX. I had to throw that in there because at 50 years old, man, and please, people, stop. Someone messaged me that he got the vaccine. Just stop. The guy had a heart. He did crack from the time he was 14. He was in and out of jail and rehab his whole life. He lived 100 lifetimes in terms of pain and agony. The man has no more pain, but he gave us a lot in his years, Jeff. And, you know, a lot of fighters came out to DMX songs over the years, for sure. Anderson Silva, the most famous one.
You know, yeah. Yeah, the most famous. I mean, probably I think it's probably the second or third most famous walkout between, Ronda Rousey, right? Bad Reputation, that kind of took all entrance songs to another level. And then Uriah Faber, right? Everybody knew that one when Uriah Faber, as soon as that hit, you knew who was walking out. And then Anderson Silva. Yeah, DMX, yeah, sadly passed away. He was a product of our generation, Jim. You know, we grew up with DMX. Yeah, sad to see. But yeah, people need to shut the hell up about a vaccine. Vaccine doesn't cause heart attacks, man. Doesn't cause heart attacks.
No.
But
it might to some people, when they realize they can't travel or go anywhere without it, they might have a heart attack. I mean, who knows? I would like to not get it. I would like to not get any vaccines, but I don't want to be a guy, and I don't want to turn this into that, but I don't want to be a guy who gets other people sick or puts people at risk. So rule number 1 in life is don't be a douchebag, right? I mean, that's pretty much rule number 1, is be courteous, be a good person, care about other people in the planet we live on. And to me, that's what it's all about. Just, you know, be cool. Well, be cool with the world and the people in it, and live your life. And I saw a fight, Jeff, and I'm not turning this into this, believe me. Although, and I have a thought UFC related in a second, but I do want to say I saw an old man and an old lady almost brawl in the store yesterday over masks. It's pretty funny. You have to wear your mask. Oh, the governor stopped it. No, you know, shut up, pay your groceries, get out of the way. We're trying to leave here. We got stuff to do. We don't care about your masks, who you want to be president. We don't care about any of this stuff. We care about UFC fights, which is why we're here, Jeff. But what's the WWE, the event? Is it Survivor Series where one person comes out and then as soon as someone loses, the next guy comes out and then the next one and the next one and the next one, but it's never more than 2 in the ring at a time? You know what I'm talking about? Survivor Series, I think, is what it is, because you can be the first guy out and win. Wouldn't you love to see that in the UFC? like a 10-guy Survivor Series, and the luck of the
They-
draw,
they
I mean, you might be the first guy out.
I mean, they had some MMA promotion where like you had 8 guys, like it was team, you know, like it
That was
like
in
4 or
Russia,
5
right? It's
guys
always in Russia.
beating the
crazy.
crap out of each other, man. And so you kind of 4 of them take on the biggest dude, you know, out of the gate. Yeah, I don't know. I don't watch pro wrestling. It was something that I never got into. My dad actually wouldn't let us watch it, you know, on Saturday mornings.
Can you
Like, go
imagine
outside and play
who's the best
baseball or
athlete in the
something.
UFC?
The best athlete?
Best UFC athlete, straight up athlete in your mind. There's a ton of them. We could have a million correct answers, but the overall best athlete in the UFC.
Ooh. You know, it's
I mean,
hard
like
to
you could
say.
say
I mean,
someone like
I
Greg
would normally
Hardy,
go
like, you
with,
know,
yeah, I would normally go with the lighter weight guy because I feel like
yeah,
there's outlets for bigger weight
me too.
guys who are athletes in other sports. But I mean, Francis Ngannou, it's hard to argue with that guy, right? But I would probably go with one of the like a Dillashaw or a Cruz or somebody smaller like that, or a Cejudo or somebody. Well, Cejudo's not in the UFC, but
No, just
right
thinking about
now
like a
anyway.
tag team match, man. Can you imagine? Like
Oh,
he
a
tags
tag team
in,
match.
he tags in Ortega, who's jumping off the top of the cage. That'd
Yeah,
be
I would
badass.
mix
But
in. I would mix in like you know, I would throw in if I were going to create a tag team for me to fight. I want the best wrestler in the UFC, and that's who I'm sitting in first. Wear them down, take them down,
yeah,
and then when you're on top of them, pummeling them, tag me in, and I'll throw some soccer kicks and then get the hell out of there as fast as I can.
or you're all of a sudden
yeah,
like you're maneuvering for position and you're setting them up for a rear naked on the ground or something. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
then all of a sudden, like they tag in and someone's hitting you from behind
yeah,
while you're doing it. That'd be great.
yeah. Who knows where the sport's going to go? You know, I'm sure it would sell. I don't know what I don't know what the Russian promotion, but if people see that, there's videos on YouTube. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. You just got like 4 or 5 guys out there beating the crap out of each other at the same time, and it's a team deal. So if you knock out one of their team, then all of a sudden it's like hockey, right? You got an advantage. You're up a player. It's crazy.
Power play.
I wouldn't enter that. Yeah, power play.
All right, so meanwhile, we got Jeff Cain in Kentucky. I'm in Arizona. The fights are in Vegas. We got Jake Hatton up there, the MMA Weekly production team. Our cameras are front and center. And I almost forgot. I said almost forgot that this dude was on the card. Mike Perry, not much in the headlines this week. Platinum Perry against Daniel Rodriguez to kick it off. You have Nina Ansaroff and Mackenzie Dern, a big fight. And, of course, Nina and Amanda, the power couple of MMA with the new baby. Amanda's been great. She just dominated her fight. We're going to see how Nina does. My boy, my man, Smiling Sam Alvey against Julian Marquez, Arnold Allen, Sadiq Youssef, and then Marvin Vettori and Kevin Holland. Our main card here with Platinum Perry, Jeff Cain ready to square off right now against Daniel Rodriguez. And I always like Mike Perry. I mean, it's tough not to. And he's gotten himself in some trouble over the years. But Mike Perry in this fight right here is where are we? Mike Perry is the dog, but not by much. Daniel Rodriguez, minus 175, the biggest line I see, minus 122, the smallest. Perry, plus 135, plus 102, depending upon where you bet it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big fight for Perry, considering he's 3-6 in his last 9 outings. And, you know, he's going against a guy who just had a long winning streak snapped, but he's a more well-rounded fighter. I mean, Mike Perry has one way to win. He wins by knockout. That's it. Whereas opponent here actually, you know, has knockouts and submissions. We'll see what happens here. I feel like if Perry loses this fight, we're probably seeing the last of Mike Perry in the UFC. But we'll see. People do like his style. He is exciting to watch, and the UFC may keep him around. But I have a hard time thinking that if you lose, you know, 7 of the last 10 fights, that you're going to actually still have a contract.
Yeah, and Perry's last time out, he lost to Tim Means by unanimous decision, beat Mickey Gall before then. He's had his girlfriend in his corner. He's had incidents at bars. He's had, you know, I think a child being born. He's got so much stuff going on in his life being a fighter. He lands a nice right hand on Rodriguez. 15th UFC fight for Perry. And, you know, it made me think to research that, you know, yesterday as I'm preparing for the show, Jeff, and I'm thinking about how long some of these guys have been there, the respect that I have day in, day out, the training for years and years. But you know, it's one. Kobe Bryant talks about this. It's one thing to get there, but it's another thing to stay for that long.
I mean, Mike Perry's eating right hands right now. I mean, he does have a good chin. You know, he does have a good chin. That's one of his assets. But I always joke about that asset because that's an asset you never want to find out you have.
He just ate a big left. I'll tell you that. And he's throwing. I mean, they're throwing bombs at each other, but Rodriguez is getting the best of the exchange. Jeff Rodriguez is what is he, 13-2? I mean, look at this guy. It's not a ton of UFC fights for him. He fought on the Contender Series against Rico Farrington, and he's got wins over Tim Means, Gabriel Green, and Dwight Grant. His last time out, he lost to Nicholas Dalby. His only other loss was at Combate 19 Queen Warriors in 2017. He just rocked Perry again with a right, but he's a southpaw. Perry having a little trouble with that. He's been a middleweight, he's lightweight, just a weird style. And of course, he trains at the BMF ranch with Cowboy Cerrone, who Perry has already fought and been submitted by. Huh?
Yeah, and he's long. Perry's having an issue dealing with the distance here. He's at a reach disadvantage, and he's eating straight.
Perfect shot by our crew to show you. Look how long he is right there on the screen, Jeff. Perfect illustration of what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so Perry's just got it. But the good thing about Perry, man, is he turns these fights into dog fights. You go in there and you think, I'm gonna out technique Perry. I'm gonna stick to straight punches. I'm gonna stick to the jab. I'm gonna set up combinations. And then 3 minutes into the fight, you're in a dog fight, just winging punches left and right. That's what you don't want. Right now, we haven't seen that happen. Yeah, not against Perry. You don't. That's what Perry.
What time does your clock say, Jeff? What time? Where's your clock at on your stream?
I will have to look. Well, I'm watching it on the old telly. I got 122 left.
I got 140, so you're a little ahead of me. But Mike Perry has eaten a lot of jabs and a bunch of lefts, a bunch of solid lefts, and then that left foot, that leg kick on the inside of the left thigh of Perry from Rodriguez. But Perry just slammed him. See, I mean, he's dangerous, man. He's dangerous. He's a little bit reckless, not afraid of anything.
Well, he got himself
caught in a little bit of a choke.
Yeah, he needed to switch up the game plan, and that's what he did. I mean, he was not having success on the feet, and so he took him down. He's in top control. We'll see if he's able to inflict damage from here.
Oh, the TV's ahead of the stream is what's happening. You're watching it on ABC TV. I'm watching it on ESPN+. So it's kind of cool. Like, we're a fight companion today, too. You guys are watching it. We're having some fun. Mike Perry and Daniel Rodriguez starting it out. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button. Keep the comments coming in the chat, guys. We're just getting started with all our great programming here on MMA Weekly. The numbers are going up everywhere. The views are going through the roof. The website visits and the stories and the number of people who are engaging with everything we're doing is going up right now on MMA Weekly. And it's only going to get better because the fans are coming back. You got 2 sold-out shows in a row, Jeff. I mean, here we are. I mean, I did not think when we started this year off in January that I'd be sitting here right now, less than 3 months later, saying we have 2 sold-out shows in a row coming our way. I mean, it just happened so damn fast.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I pretty much knew as soon as states opened up that the UFC was going to jump on it, right? Dana kind of made that clear last year, and so it was just a matter of time. Florida's going to be different. I'm interested in the Texas show because they do have mass mandates. It's different than what's going on in Florida. But yeah, man, to have fans back, it's going to be different. It's going to be weird, right? It's been a year or so since we've seen fans in there. I like the not having fans because I can hear the corner and you get a good audio of the impact of these strikes. But man, you can't beat the crowd reaction to somebody getting dropped or just a walkout. So I'm looking forward to fans being back. Hopefully we're able to keep things open and not have any more setbacks, man. We'll see. We're all racing time.
Dude, you know what's cool, right? Jeff? What's really cool to me is that one thing about having limited crowds, and asked Bryce Harper this after, did you see what happened with Bryce last night? You get it's brought back the heckler. You can hear the heckler now. And I sort of missed the heckler from when I was a kid. There'd always be like this one guy sitting there getting drunk, hates his life, just goes to the game so he can drink beers and yell at everyone. And I always have a fun time with that guy. And so last night, Harper's in the dugout up against the rail. And this other dude this fan is like, hey, Bryce Harper, you suck. You're never going to be as good as Acuna. You're never. And it's like the whole night you can hear it. Here comes the 2-1. You suck. It's pretty funny.
No, I mean, it's funny, man. The old dick twisters. That's the famous video that the guy has, where he's screaming, kill him, twisters. It's just crazy. I was actually at an event several years ago where a Korean fighter was fighting, and this guy was totally trashed and drunk. I don't know how he had like second row seats, but I was shooting photos, and he kept screaming, remember Pearl Harbor. And I'm like, you do realize that Korea is not Japan, right? And so we kind of had an exchange because he was just like, man, I couldn't take it anymore. I like the hecklers, but after a while, you're kind of like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, no doubt. That's Jeff Cain. I'm Jim Grieshaber. It's MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC on ABC 2. powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. Mike Perry and Daniel Rodriguez in the cage right now. Jeff, who won round one? We're at about the 4-minute mark of round two, but Rodriguez dominated the first 3.5 minutes on the feet. Perry took him down and beat him up for the rest with the takedown and the ground and pound and the ground control. Did Perry steal that round or make it a draw?
I mean, it's hard to say what the judges do. I would have scored that round, not for Perry, because I felt like he absorbed more shots than his opponent. But like I said, it's hard for me to watch and score at the same time and be on the air. So, and then you never know what the judges are going to do. I mean, we kind of saw that last night in the Vettori video. I don't know. Sometimes I'm just baffled at what the judges are looking at, but they're in 3 different positions. I hate to make excuses for the judges, right? But this is a competitive fight. This is why the UFC put this to kick off the card. Because
you have the reach.
Mike Perry's not in boring fights. I'm sorry.
Who's do you have the reach? Do you have the numbers? I don't have them in front of me, but I can check them out. But it looks like a good 4 inches. There's Perry with another takedown because that jab is coming from. We talk about range, Jeff. We talk about close range, medium range. There's 3 levels of range for a fighter. And he can hit you with that jab, it seems like, from mid-range just about, which most guys can't do.
Yeah, it's officially listed as a 3-inch reach advantage. It looks more than that to me. Yeah, it looks more than that to me.
Maybe our guy in Vegas can throw that weigh-in footage again. Oh, sorry, Jeff. We haven't done a show in a while, guys. We're running all over each other. We apologize. But Jeff, and that's my fault. But Jeff, I just want to say, if we could get our guy on site to throw up that footage from the weigh-in again of these 2 guys when they were not the weigh-in, the face-off, because you could see the shoulder, their elbows were in the same spot, but the shoulder of Rodriguez was at least 4 inches. It seemed higher. You know what I mean? Here they come. Let's see.
Yeah,
Jeff,
I mean, he definitely has a good reach advantage. I mean, it's officially. I think they're just going to play the face-offs as they go, and we're going to get to that. Yeah,
there it is, right there. Freeze that. See? That's not 3 inches. No, that's 4 or 5. Look at where his trap goes compared to Perry's. It's like that's 6 inches higher. His neck.
Well, but what's making that reach, even if it is just 3 inches, which I think it's probably more than that. I think it's 4 or possibly even 5. Is Rodriguez is throwing straight punches, and Perry doesn't actually most of the time throw straight punches, and so the reach advantage becomes bigger and bigger with an arc to your punch versus the straight punches. And so I think it's a combination of the reach advantage and then just Rodriguez throwing straight punches. He's got a beautiful jab, man, and he's a guy that I haven't seen fight a ton. I've seen him fight, but he throws straight punches and his jab's nice. This is a good opportunity for him because Mike Perry, although the losses, he does have a good name.
Yeah, and Perry wants to get in tight here is what he's trying to do to, number one, get in out of that range and, make him work a little and throw differently than what he's been doing so far, but also to get in there and try to get a takedown, which he's got 2, 1 in each round in this fight, but the striking number's huge in the favor of Rodriguez. Jeff Cain, Jim Grieshaber on MMA Weekly. Hit the like button, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all kinds of great stuff coming your way. All kinds of prizes and contests coming up as we grow these shows. We got UFC Fight Week confirmed. Well, not Fight Week, but I think it's going to be. We got McGregor and Poirier. We got 2 sold-out shows in a row. We got the Jones and Ngannou dance going on. We got the Sandhagen Dillashaw fight official and coming up. We got the big pay-per-view coming up with Masvidal and Usman with the 2 other fights underneath it, the girl title fights. And, I mean, just another big one with Chandler and Oliveira. And Tony Ferguson is the co-main event on that card. Jeff, I know you've been waiting to see when El Kukui would get back in there, but it's interesting for Tony Ferguson because this is almost like a win or else type of fight he got.
Yeah, I mean he's not going to be relevant in that division if he loses this fight. He's made a bunch of changes too, and look, I like El Kukui. He's nutty, right? He's not your average guy, and so that I kind of like that.
Yeah. I call him El
He's just out there. Yeah, he's out there a little bit, man. But I like.
I love him.
And he's got such a reach advantage, and he's so tough. I mean, so tough. I mean, one of the toughest people to ever step into the octagon. And now that he's switched up his training camp and he's actually doing some self-evaluation on what I need to change, why am I losing these fights? I'm interested to see if it works. Because we've seen El Kukui train, and it's just weird, right? He's jumping over barrels and doing
break dancing.
Yeah, you gotta
love electric boogaloo,
right? Yeah,
breaking 3.
But I'm interested to see. Yeah, with the changes, man. Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, he's got such an incredible skill set all around. He trains like nobody else. He's a beast. He doesn't feel pain. He took more shots from Gaethje than I feel like every one of Gaethje's other opponents combined. Maybe Palomino notwithstanding back in the WSOF days. But when I look at what's been happening with this, and I just kind of follow it, and I see, man, it's like, I don't know, dude. I think that Beneil Dariush is on a major roll. He deserved an opponent like this. He's been just grinding and winning and grinding and winning. And this is when we find out two things. One, is Beneil Dariush a legit contender? Two, is Tony Ferguson done? Does he have anything left in the tank? Those two have, they go hand in hand. So we'll see. But at the end of the day, I would never count out Tony Ferguson. Remember, the Oliveira fight was, you said, way too soon. You're right. Should have sat out a year after the beating from Gaethje. He cut weight twice to fight Gaethje because, remember, the card got moved. It got moved all over the place. He was supposed to fight Khabib. Khabib couldn't get here. I mean, the whole thing was nuts. And then he gets pounded by Gaethje. And then he comes back against Oliveira and almost gets his arm ripped off in the first round. And of course, in true Tony style, fights his way as long as he can. But the guy is an icon. He's a legend. He's a former champ, albeit interim. And, you never want to bet against a guy like that. And especially when he might think his career's on the line. He's got, a family. But at the end of the day, man, Dariush, to me, is not a top 5 guy. So if Tony loses this fight, Tony's clearly out of that realm. Dariush is not a title contender. He's not a top 5 guy in my book and won't be. That's just my opinion. So Ferguson, to me, has to win this fight.
I don't have the rankings pulled up. I don't know where he is. I mean, who knows who's a top 5 fighter until you fight him? And then
Dariush
like I
is
said,
9, I believe. Yeah, Tony's 5, Dariush 9. Jeff.
Yep. Well, he'll be if he beats Tony, he'll jump into the top 5 or 5th, or close to it. I don't know. I have to look and see who's 6, 7, and 8 and who he's lost to, because you get boxed in with those rankings, and you can only move people so far in certain situations. But yeah, that's a huge fight for both guys. For Dariush, he gets the opportunity to take out a guy who's been at the top of that division for a long time, and for Ferguson, man, he has to win that fight to stay relevant in that contender kind of talks. He's out of the contender talks right now. But really and truly, if he gets this win and beats one of those guys in the top 5, then Tony Ferguson's all of a sudden back in the title talks. Just because of the losses and who they were to weren't bad. But
all right, here we go. We got a fighter at the podium, Jeff. We're gonna toss it up here in just a second. I remember him from this. What a good dude, Joe Solecki defeated Jim Miller.
Just beat Jim Miller. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels right. It feels like I belong here now. I fought a guy on, respectfully, a guy on his way out in the first fight who was game, but I don't think too dangerous. I fought an up-and-comer like myself in the second fight, and now I fought a legend. So I'm still going to have all my doubts going into the fights going forward because I'm a human being and a man, but I know that I belong here now.
Out of curiosity, you said you fought an up-and-comer and then a legend. Did they feel different in there, fighting both of them? Did they feel different, or was it the same?
No, I think a fight is a fight, and that's something we were talking about, something that my boxing coach always says that it has been great since I started trying to figure out this crazy game was a punch is just a punch and a kick is just a kick. And then when we were getting all hyped up talking about this fight, I was like, I'm adding on to that. I was going to say a fight is just a fight and a man is just a man, and it's true. Some are more skilled than others, some are maybe tougher than others in different ways, but he's just another man once we're in there, and it felt that way. Very mean. He definitely had a good game face, and ate some damage like it was nothing, but he's just another man, but somebody I respect for sure, and it was an honor to share the cage with him.
Was the performance what you were looking for? That strategy, that play, how it played out? Yeah,
in all the interviews leading up, I said 3-round grind, and sometimes it's not the most entertaining, and I was trying to make it that way, but first and foremost is we got to put on wins, right? Or nobody's going to, even if people want to see me and they're exciting, they won't never see me because you lose a couple here and you're gone. So that was the performance I wanted. I wanted to grind them out and get it done any means necessary, and we did.
Specifically, I wanted to ask, did you pull guard in the first round?
Yeah. Where's John Salter? He's going to yell at me later for that.
And do you regret doing that?
No. I got tagged good, and I had a good, first 4 minutes of the round, or 3.5 minutes, and my legs went a little bit, so I made a proper decision. In the past, I've made the mistake of trying to just dip my head and swing back and getting caught, So we knew we wanted to grapple him. Yeah, I didn't want to pull guard, but it worked out in my favor. I had to give an inch or, a couple steps back to jump forward. So we knew time in the cage was going to favor me. So if I had to concede the end of that first round, I knew I'd get it back in the second. And then when the third hit, I knew I'd dig deeper. So that's kind of what we had to do.
I have to say, you praised his game face. I didn't see you look hurt even in the first round, even when you pulled guard. It didn't seem like he'd hit you.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was going to get knocked out, but I made the right decision there because he's just going to dip his head and throw 4 more behind it, So I figured I'd test my feet in the grappling realm. And I think what was good about that was I felt his top pressure, which is where he's going to be best. And while he was able to nullify my closed guard, I didn't feel anything that I was hesitant to go to the floor with in the second round, if that makes sense. So I knew if I got on top, I could control him. He didn't feel anything that I don't feel every single day at GMO or Salted Dog Jiu-Jitsu or any of the places that I train.
So with a name like Jim on your record, where do you go from here? What sort of guys are you looking for?
Boring answer, but I go home to my wife and my baby, and get right back to work. We're going to get back to work on Monday. We're going away for a few days next week, halfway through the week. And then I come back that next Monday and start training like I have a fight again, cardios and everything, sparring twice a week and wait for the call. That's the role that I'm ready to play here is stay ready all year long, hopefully a couple weeks notice every fight and come back in, take somebody out kind of like Jim Miller does. Disappear for a little while, keep getting better, keep grinding and come back out again. But if nobody hears or sees from me between fights for being an idiot, I'm okay with that. I always want to be the best guy I can be and best husband, father, teammate, instructor, whatever I can be, and then come back out and put on a good performance.
Congrats, man.
Thank you.
And just following up quickly with that, I think part of what he was sort of wondering is now with a guy like Jim, do you think the top 15 guys are the type of guys that you should be seeing at this point, or are you just glad to get other tough challenges?
Yeah, that's the crazy reward in this game is you beat a tough guy, you get a tougher guy. But we're fine with that. Whatever may come. That was the third fight of my contract. They're 4-fight contracts. Typically, I think you get a new one after 3. So, once I get another contract, I think that is time. I'll probably get to step up in competition with it. But I don't really care. I don't want to think about it. I just want to think about getting better and better and better. And I've had pretty long layoffs between fights, which we kind of talked about on Wednesday when I was in here. But I think it shows. I come back better every time. So just going to worry about getting better. I'll probably have less time between these next 2 fights. And same thing. Just worry about cramming in a lot of progression in a short period of time.
Well, you kind of answered the question there. I was going to ask you, do you like this pacing then since you are making good benefit, or would you rather maybe pick up a little bit more fights and a little bit less inactivity in between?
Yeah, I like to compete. I'm a competitor. I've been competing since I'm 6 years old, and in jiu-jitsu it was like every month, so I like to stay active. But, given the time we're in, if I can come out and, I fought once last year but was supposed to have 2 just like everybody during, this crazy time. I had to back out of the fight because of COVID and everything. So would have fought twice last year. But, if I can come out and get a win and whenever they bring me back in, I'm just going to be grateful for it because it is a crazy time. There's a lot of guys in the roster now getting called up on short notice. They got to get fights. So I understand there's a pecking order and I'll come back when they call me.
And definitely those last couple of rounds was very dominant performance. But when you go back and look back, is there anything that stands out that you're really proud of that showed up for you tonight?
Yeah, I think digging deep, I got a little hurt in that first round, but I think I showed the progression in my stand-up, and got a little hurt, made a good decision, I thought, to, be a little defensive and pull back a little bit, and then came back out in the second, got after it, That's something that maybe in the past wouldn't have happened because I didn't have that experience, but now I've been here, I've gotten in the cage with some great guys between, where I started at CFFC and, being here now for a couple fights, and I went back to the stool after the first like it never happened and was ready to come out and fight the second like it was the first round of the fight. I think that's the big thing for me is growth. I feel good in here.
And I know you said you want to go back and spend some time with family. How do you celebrate the win with the family?
So I'm gonna go back and just be happy I'm not in quarantine anymore and give my daughter a big hug and a kiss, and my wife and our dogs, and then we're gonna go away for a few days to Florida, just get some sunshine. Haven't been away since my honeymoon, so we're gonna go away for like 3-4 days, and then right back in the gym with my team. That's what I like to do is train. So we don't leave till halfway through the week, so I'll be back in the gym on Monday. Hobbling around on this shin from kicking, but that's it, man. I'm a pretty simple guy. I just like to be with my family. We hang out with our friends. We go to church, have a good time, and just celebrate, where we're at in life.
Kind of makes it sound like since it's the last time was your honeymoon, so this is partly for the wife. The days away, this is for the wife, huh? Yeah, she puts up with a lot. She's an absolute rock star. That's what I said. I like the simplicity of the quarantine fights, but I was like, man, I just wish you could be here. She's been through all of it with me. I'm really lucky that I have fantastic coaches who have been with me most of my pro career now. But before I even met them, I had her, and we were talking about it yesterday. I'm like, we've gone through fights where
I had some coaches who were like half in or really didn't know what they were doing, and like it's just me and her cutting weight or me and her driving 10 hours to a fight. And she's put up with a lot, and she's happy to do it. I know somewhere right now she's probably crying watching either this live stream or just still crying from the fight. And yeah, I owe it all to her, really. So God's blessed me with a great woman in my life, a great child, and just a great life. So I'm just really, really fortunate, and anytime I can talk about them, I'd like to.
Does she sit down and critique the fights afterwards, or does she just happy that you get the win?
No, she probably didn't see half the fight. She probably watched it through her fingers, and what she did see was like driving through a rainstorm with windshield wipers, because she's probably crying her eyes out the whole time. So yeah, no critiques. She's just happy we got the win, and yeah, we just move on to the next one.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Joe Solecki with the win over Jim Miller. Big one for him. I remember being there last August for the Contender Series. Jeff Cain and Solecki picked up a win there. His wife had a baby in the early fall, and just a really well put together fighter when you listen to him speak and you watch him compete and perform. And a good win over Jim Miller, and a nice step in the right direction for Joe Solecki in the main event on the prelims. Mike Perry just lost to Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, what a competitive fight. Perry, of course, in true Mike Perry fashion, all busted up Jeff at the end of it. And, tastes defeat, and along with a lot of his own blood. But the jab from distance really setting everything up, along with that inside leg kick from Rodriguez. He had so many significant strikes landed in this fight, but he played off the jab and that leg kick, which opened up that right hand for him. Beautiful game plan, tremendous execution. Perry being Perry, scored a couple of takedowns, did some damage of his own, but a big, big win, for a fighter. And Daniel Rodriguez at welterweight is looking to make some moves up right now. Jeff, D-Rod right now is, 2015, he started his career. That is his 15th win against only 2 losses. It's the biggest name on his resume. Has one over Tim Means too. Onward and upward, and nice to get back in the win column too for Rodriguez after Nicholas Dalby beat him back in November.
Yeah, he rebounded from that loss, and he looked good tonight. He basically dominated Mike Perry on the in the striking exchanges, and then outside of Perry's takedowns, he wasn't able to mount much offense. Perry's got to get some head movement, man. I mean, that's what was happening, is he stood directly in front of Rodriguez and he was just getting hit with combinations. For him to close the distance against somebody who has a reach advantage, he's got to slip some punches, and that's just not his style. He moves straight forward, and he's willing to take 2 or 3 to give one, but that's not a plan for longevity, Jim.
No, and I wanted to say too, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. And I wanted to shout out to I'm Me, Who Are You in the chat room. He said, appreciate you back. And sometimes I'll hop in there. Jeff, we got some big stuff coming up, man. Like us, follow us. You're going to see the live streams during the fights. You're going to see preview shows every Wednesday live. You're going to see Fallout show every Monday live from now on. Some programming changes here on MMA Weekly that we believe will optimize your viewing experience here and our coverage for you. And Jeff, right now they're showing highlights of the Joanna Weili fight. And I'm wondering, I had to ask you, and we know that the win, Rodriguez got the win, and we're waiting for Mackenzie Dern and Nina Ansaroff to fight now, which is awesome. I can't wait for that one. And Kevin Holland saw Amanda Nunes in the press room the other day. He goes, there's the real GOAT. Everybody's talking about everybody else being the GOAT, and he just gave Amanda her love and her props. But, Jeff, when I see this fight card being promoted, Usman and Masvidal, Gamebred coming in. He's got the time this time, 30 days instead of 6. He's got the time to cut the weight. He says he's going to win. Obviously, Usman says he's going to do worse damage. Huge rematch. Usman's trying so hard to create something, to create anything. Even Ali, his manager, Abdulaziz, is tweeting and things about Conor McGregor. He's almost like, some wrestlers would have a manager like Captain Lou Albano or Bobby the Brain Heenan, right? He does the talking for him in some cases, right? Brock Lesnar has Paul Heyman, for example, in WWE. But you think about the talk going back and forth, right? And you think about this fight, that's an enormous fight. It was the biggest pay-per-view of the year last year. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll be live for that one. But my question is not about that fight, Jeff. My question is about women's MMA. Our next fight here is female. Mackenzie Dern says she's ready to make a title run now. Nina Ansaroff will try to dispel that right away. But is this the biggest night for female fighting? Now, biggest night when Holly Holm beat Ronda, some of the things like Amanda fighting Cyborg, these are huge nights in terms of attention and eyeballs and growth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about as far as pure fighting goes with greatness in the octagon. Is this the best we've ever seen on the female side in one night? You got Weili and Rose, and you got Jessica Andrade and Valentina. You got all of them have been champions. All of them, every one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because, I mean, before, Invicta used to have all of these, full women's cards, and they had, all of these people in there before the UFC decided to take the plunge.
But I said Vegas, though. Like Invicta's, nobody watches and nobody cares about Invicta. I hate to say it. It sounds terrible, but I'm like big.
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact of who was on this card. Like I said, those hook and shoot cards early on where they had, you had everybody who's anybody.
I love those, Jeff. The hook and shoot cards.
You just got they started the all women's cards, right there in Evansville, Indiana, and then it's taken off. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely the highest level as far as the rankings and acceptability and everything. But man, I mean, I would go back to some of those other fight cards, even in Strikeforce, whenever you had Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate and Cyborg fighting on the same damn card, those are crazy. Looking back on it, at the time, maybe people didn't appreciate it, but looking back on it, those were enormous fight cards for women's MMA.
Leave it to you, Jeff Cain. Leave it to you, man. That is the last thing I ever thought I would hear. This is why you need to appreciate Jeff Cain, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else in between or beyond or wherever you fit in that spectrum. This is the kind of knowledge that you get, the kind of history that you get from my partner right here, Jeff Cain, coming up big on MMA Weekly, UFC ABC 2, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD, 50% off right now at stayinthefightmma.com. Jeff, that was impressive, man. I never know what you're going to say.
Well, it goes back, man. That's where it all started. Jeff Osborne with Hook and Shoot started all of this women's MMA stuff. So many women. I mean, I was at Tara LaRosa's MMA debut, and if people don't know who she is, pioneer in women's MMA. And they just had so many, like I said, he was a pioneer. He worked for the UFC and started his own fight promotion in Evansville, and then ushered in these all women's fight cards. And then Elite XC kind of dabbled into it, and then went into Strikeforce, and now the women have made it to the big dance, and they're getting all the attention.
Well, the first big female fight, like really big, was Gina and Cyborg, right? That was the first real big one. And what was that? 2006 or 7? Probably. Gina and Cyborg.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was early. Yeah. That's the one. That's the first women's fight that captured the public's attention. For multiple reasons. With Cyborg, because she's such a dominating athlete and she's so fierce of a competitor, it's so aggressive. She kind of encompassed that Vanderlei shoot box style from Brazil. And then you had Gina Carano, right, who had the face. And she was kind of Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey. She was on magazines, she was interviews, and then she had a successful acting career. And that was the fight that got everybody's attention. And then Ronda was able to kind of.
It was in August 2009 Jeff. It was it that late? It was 2009.
Well,
I thought it was. Yeah,
so I say that late.
But you want to hear something crazy? You want to know what the total purse was? The total purse on that entire card, okay? And I'm going to tell you the card, okay? Verdum's on there against Mike Kyle, okay? You got Gilbert Melendez, right?
Yep.
Gegard Mousasi, Babalu. Babalu was on there. Remember Babalu? Renato Sabral.
Oh, yeah.
And then Cyborg and Gina Carano. The total views was 576,000 views, and the total purse was $468K for all those people, including Gina and Cyborg. How far has women's MMA come to where Gina and Cyborg were getting pennies, and then all of a sudden, here comes Ronda Rousey, and everything changed forever. And then now we have Amanda Nunes, and Nina's fighting now, and it was weird seeing it up there going Nina Nunes. I'm like, wait, Nina, hey, yes, the new mom, the wife. I mean, that's cool. I always thought, like, I ended up being straight, but as a kid, Jeff, I was thinking to myself, like, if I ended up gay, it wouldn't be all that bad because I could give up my last name. But when I saw Nina Nunes, that's what I thought about. My own twisted thoughts.
I didn't even notice that. No, I didn't notice that she's Nina Nunes now. I have it written down right here in my notes, Nina Nunes, and I just didn't pay any attention to it because that's not who I know her as. But yeah, she's
rolls
Nina
off
Nunes.
the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah. She's
it rolls off
a recent mother.
Nunes.
Yeah, I mean, look, Amanda Nunes is a different animal. A different animal than we've ever seen. And I'd say that about Cyborg. Leading up to it, but Amanda Nunes is the greatest women's fighter in the history of females. But we'll see. That's a snapshot in time. And I want people to realize that that's a snapshot in time. There will be someone come along that's better than Amanda Nunes. It just isn't going to happen tomorrow.
It isn't going to happen tomorrow, but and then I want to get to the Nina and Mackenzie Dern's looking to make a title run. I knew her a little bit when she's from Arizona. She trained at the lab. I don't want to say she got kicked out of there because I don't know the real and the truth. And I'm not saying it. I'm just saying I don't want it to sound like I'm saying she got kicked out, but people weren't sorry to see her go. She wasn't really committed. She wasn't training all the time. She had a lot of that attitude, and people just did not click with her who trained there. And that's the truth. Mackenzie, got her life together in terms of becoming a wife and a mother. Speaking of someone motherhood, and what a landmark moment in the UFC. And I know Michelle Watterson, my girl, if you're watching the Karate Hottie, the mom champ, you're loving this. 2 moms fighting. I mean, think about that. 2 moms fighting on a UFC fight card right now, Jeff. And anytime that happens, that's kind of cool because they're fighting for so much more than just a W.
Yeah. This is, I like Mackenzie Dern. I don't know about, and I know I hear the rumors and everything too, but she's so dominant in her ground game. And then, she had some problems making weight, which is probably what you were talking about. She, the rumors are she didn't train hard.
Commitment issues.
She didn't take it seriously. Commitment issues. And I think it's because she was so dominant in jiu-jitsu that she could lax and still be a world champion and still dominate those things. And now in MMA, that's not the case, man. This isn't a jiu-jitsu tournament. This is, there's striking and kicks and punches and other people who are high-level jiu-jitsu people. But Mackenzie is, she's something special. We're going to see today, right here in a minute, where she fits in that division. She stumbled that one loss, but she's put together a few in a row now. And now she's taking on a top 5 girl who we all know, her accolades. And so this is a huge step up in competition, but I think it's a proper one. I think this is what you have to do with Mackenzie Dern right now. And if Mackenzie wins this one, you're right, man. She is on a title run.
Yeah, and Nina's favored. Nina Nunes at minus 130 all the way down to minus 111. And Mackenzie is both of them are minus 111 on one of them. And I don't want to say the names of the sports books because, like Jeff Cain says, they're not paying us, but I see it all the way from minus 111 to plus 110 for Mackenzie Dern. And look, Mackenzie Dern, world champion jiu-jitsu, incredible submission artist. Nina's, just imagine training with Amanda Nunes all the time, how much better you just get from doing that. But it's, it's interesting. You're right. When you think about Mackenzie Dern right now, Jeff, and she came in and she's had a lot of success. And when you're that naturally talented, these things will just happen. But that loss to Amanda Hebus, the decision, it was unanimous. It was on the Joanna Michelle Watterson card back in October of 2019. And that sort of refocused her. Since then, she's had the baby. Since then, she's changed a lot of things. Hasn't had any weight cut problems at all since the baby was born. And, she's on a 3-fight win streak, started off with Hannah Cyphers and, won her last fight against Verna Jandiroba. And that was in December, on December 12th. It seems like that was just recently, but that's a big fight. I mean, when you think about Mackenzie, they're at strawweight, right? And that division is just loaded. Absolutely incredible. So when you think about that division, right? And we were just talking about the pay-per-view coming up, and they're in commercial. The fight's not starting yet. So I want to keep this theme right here because strawweight is obviously Weili's division, right now. But that incredible war against Joanna last year and Thug Rose, who legitimately beat, right? Joanna twice. So you got Thug Rose and Weili, and this is Mackenzie and Nina's division. So the title fight's coming up in a couple of weeks. You got Valentina and Andrade on the same card. Huge night for female fighting. But there's a path to the title here that I'm starting to see for Mackenzie Dern. I'm starting to see a path with a win here. You can start to see, and you know how certain fighters, you just kind of see it along the way, and they take that next step and the next step. And man, I just think she can set herself up, and she's got to win this fight. But it's a chance for her, who ranked at a number 11, and Hebus is 10. But I mean, obviously Mackenzie Dern with a couple of big wins, they'll skip people. Michelle Watterson's 8. A win like this would put her in a Michelle Watterson type fight next, or a Claudia Gadella, or and Nina's number 5, so she might skip all them with a win here and go all the way up to like maybe fight someone like Joanna next. A huge fight for Mackenzie Dern. And both girls, whoever wins this fight is right there in the top 3 potentially.
Yeah.
If it's Nina, for sure.
Especially for Nina. Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. And for Mackenzie, she jumps up. Mackenzie's in the part of her career. If she wins today, where she's going to have to pick those next couple opponents really carefully because she is on a path to a title shot. Mackenzie's gotten her striking's gotten a lot better and her conditioning's got a lot better. And that's going to go a long way for her because she doesn't have to worry about going to the ground with anyone. It just doesn't matter who you are. Mackenzie Dern's not worried about going to the ground with you. So she's kind of closed some holes in her game, in my opinion, over the last year or so. And I look forward to this, man. I mean, it's getting ready to start. And she has a good chin. She's taking big shots. And so while I said that's something you never want to find out you have in the tool shed, she knows that she has a good chin now. And so she can kind of rely on how good her ground game is and be real
nice
aggressive.
To know it's there.
Yeah,
it's nice to know it's there when you need it. But I think she probably would skip a Michelle Waterson. Maybe not. I think Michelle at number 8 is a real solid opponent for her next as they head to the center of the octagon, dancing all over that M. Mackenzie Dern. Oh, look at these. These are elite athletes, Jeff. The reach is about the same. Look at Mackenzie coming out swinging. That a girl.
See, that's what I was saying.
Love these fights.
Her ground game allows her, and I think that's what she's discovered, is she can kind of go for broke on the feet because what does it matter if they change levels and take you down? Then they're in your world, And so I think that she's just become more experienced and a more intelligent fighter, and she's willing to take big risks.
Yeah, she's got Nina pinned up against the cage now, shoulder into the upper chest area, lower neck into the chin, tucked in. But Mackenzie came out firing, landed me a couple of glancing blows, and ate one, a counter right on the way in. No damage done so far. Pretty good fight, though. And number 5, oh, wow. Nice exchange there. Each girl landing a big shot like that.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, Mackenzie's striking has improved. And her aggression has increased.
Much.
And her aggression has increased. But she's trying to get a takedown right here, and that's what Nina doesn't want. Now I'm not. I mean, Nina's good on the ground. Don't get me wrong, but there's levels, right? There's levels to this, and Mackenzie Dern's on the top level.
She got it. She got the takedown, and we got 3:38 in count left in round 1. They're about, I would say, Nina's about 3 feet away from the cage.
Yeah, she's not going to be able to use the cage to get up yet. She's going to have to scoot herself over there. But right now, she's just going to have to make sure she doesn't make a mistake and leave a limb or her neck out because Mackenzie Dern doesn't need much, man. She does not need much. It doesn't take a big mistake for Mackenzie Dern to tap you out.
No, and people like to say Khabib gets your ankle, then he goes up. I mean, but just think this, we're talking about Mackenzie Dern here. This girl legitimately is one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the history of female jiu-jitsu. I mean, legitimately, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the best of all time. Number 1 ranked in the world. Number 1, Jeff.
Yeah.
Formerly.
Well, she's just so patient on the ground, And that's what you see out of the highest level jiu-jitsu people. They don't rush anything. You're going to make a mistake. Eventually you're going to make a mistake. And so it's position, and then capitalize on the mistake. But you're going to have a hard time getting Mackenzie Dern off of you if she gets top position. She's in top position now, and Nina's, experiencing that right now that Mackenzie's a different animal on top of you.
She is for sure, and she's looking good out there. Of course, she's the daughter of Wellington Megaton Diaz, a legend in the grappling world himself, but she's also a no-gi jiu-jitsu world champion. Why am I saying it like no-gi, like an idiot and looking like a fool? Because no-gi translates so much better to MMA than gi. So if you want to be a world champion in jiu-jitsu and you want to go no-gi, that's a nice transition into MMA jiu-jitsu. But Mackenzie's still working at the top. We hit 2 minutes left.
Yes, and she advanced to the mount position. She's advanced. She's mounted, Nina.
And she's pounding. Her striking looks good, Jeff, and she looks really good overall. I mean, this is not. Dude, she's so much better than she was in December.
Yeah, if she can win this fight Nina's right now, she's dominated Nina so far. She has dominated Nina so far, and that's dominating the number 5 ranked fighter in the world. Now the fight's not over yet, although it looks like Mackenzie's isolating an arm.
Big elbow.
Yeah,
big
she's isolating an arm though.
What's your clock say, Jeff?
I've got 1:03, but she's isolated an arm, and so
everybody else
means.
On the stream is like 10 seconds behind you, though. Yeah, she's got an arm, and she's got 1:15 to work with it. Still hitting her in the head too. This is tough for Nina Nunes trying to hang on for dear life. By the way, I want to say what up to Isaac Jamerson. Can we throw that up, guys, on the screen? Super chat, $10 from Isaac. Yo, what up, boys? Back for the weekly stream. Thank you so much, Isaac. Thank you so much, all of you. I didn't even know what super chat Isaac's been every week hitting us up, so we appreciate that. We appreciate the likes, the subscribes, all the chat love, and how about that, Jeff? People are paying us to sit here and be fools.
No, that's great. That's crazy. But yeah, look, I don't know.
Thank you, Isaac.
If McKenzie's gonna. Yeah, thanks a lot, Isaac. That's good. You've done that before. Oh,
third time. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, you do not get your arm back from Mackenzie Dern. You do not get your arm back. I mean, she's just being so patient right now. This is a matter of time, Jim. There's not much time left in the round, but I think she's going to finish.
Where are you at? Where are you at, Jeff?
We'll see.
Oh, wow, she did.
Where are you at?
Right away. Oh, my God. The minute she pulled on that arm. Woo!
The minute she extended it. Yeah, and got it free. It was it.
Mackenzie Dern. Wow,
she just dominated
Jeff.
the number 5 ranked fighter in the world. Dominated her.
Ooh, that is really, that's impressive, man. That is really an impressive win for Mackenzie Dern, and it didn't go the right way tonight for Nina Nunes, and there's Amanda in there hugging Mackenzie. Great sport. Nina obviously not happy, looking for a win, and it's too bad for her because Amanda just had the big win, and this is going to be a bit of a buzzkill for them, but nice sportsmanship there. They're hugging it out. I think what happens is happened so many times, Jeff. It happened to me. It happens to so many people in life. When you have a baby, it changes you. Some people, when they have a baby, it just sets their life going on the right path completely. Not to say that Mackenzie was on the wrong path, but she had some tweaks to make. She had some adjustments to make. She's got a guy in her life. She's got the baby. She's changed teams. She changed location. Whatever she did and everything she did, the combination thereof, it triggered something in her because since then she's on fire and she looks amazing in the octagon right now.
Well, I mean, Nina's also a new mother. I mean, Nina just ran into a girl who's better than her tonight. I mean, Mackenzie did everything right. She closed the distance with her punches, was aggressive with her punches, changed levels, got the takedown, advanced to the mount, she secured an arm, and then just waited patiently to extend it, and that was it. Yeah, Mackenzie Dern is somebody to be reckoned with, man. I mean, like I said, she just dominated the number 5 ranked girl in the world and did it easily. Yeah,
I got 2 words for you, Jeff, and I got to get your thoughts on him, but 2 words, and this is the striking: Jason Perillo.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think that there's any magicians in this sport. You just find somebody that works well with you. And that you click together, and it doesn't have to be him. It could be Duke Rufus. It could be, Faraz. It could be a lot of different people. But yeah, she's found something that clicks and works. And that's the whole key. I don't think it necessarily matters who it is necessarily, but then of course he does have the accolades, right? I mean, this isn't the first person he's improved.
I'm going to read the list, okay? Because he's a boxer, and that's why it's of note. We're always talking about who's the best boxer in MMA, and I think we might have someone coming to the podium. But BJ Penn, Michael Bisping, Cyborg, RDA, Tito, Rockhold, Belfort, Chito Vera, Mackenzie Dern. We are going to go back to the podium, another fighter.
Hey man, that was a great fight.
Interview room.
Probably, I think what most of us expected, like a bit of a slug match.
Daniel Rodriguez, who beat
Did you just feel you were technically better?
Yeah, of course. I think it showed in the fight. It went exactly how I thought it would be. Going in there, I felt like we both had equally as much power. He's a strong dude. He was able to take me down. I didn't think he would, but he's a shorter, stocky guy. He was strong, but I felt like even though I was on the ground, he wasn't able to cause any damage. I was able to control the position, and second time he took me down, I was able to get back up real quick. But on the feet, I was a faster, more technical guy, and he let me work at my range. He didn't really cut off the distance really too much, and I was just able to pick him apart.
He seemed to have problems as well with the southpaw stance. Your jab was landing regularly, and although he's known as a hard-hitting guy, you could see the difference. When you landed, it would stagger him, and when he landed, it didn't seem to affect you. Did he land anything on you that kind of hurt or caught your attention?
Nah. Well, yeah, maybe one punch. He did kind of like stun me a little bit, but I just poker faced that. And, yeah, like you said, when I would hit him, I could see his whole demeanor change. And as the fight went on, it's just, I don't know, he just kind of died down.
That said, obviously, you always want the finish. Was he tougher than you thought, or did you just not see the right opportunity to land the big punch, or how do you feel about that?
I felt like after a couple of punches, I did feel like I could have rushed in and possibly finished the fight, but we had a game plan going in there not to get in no crazy wild exchange, a crazy brawl with him, and he's a tough guy. He took some hard shots in there, and his face shows it. I was like, damn, it's a pretty bad day. I broke his nose again or something.
Yeah, I think judging by the look of it, it was like
Yeah.
looking that way. I want to read something that the cameras overheard. Your corner advice saying, Joe Schilling said you should throw that kick you did on the ranch when you were on mushrooms. Would you mind telling us about that experience?
Yeah, man. He was referring to a heel kick, which we've been practicing a lot this fight camp. One thing I didn't mention before in the previous interview when I was here is that about a month ago I tore my pec muscle, and my pec literally it detached from the bone. So that was kind of the reason why I came out to Las Vegas and spent so much time at UFC PI. Shout out to them, to everybody at UFC PI who helped me, rehabilitate my injury. And they wanted me to get surgery. I just refused it, and I felt like this was an opportunity. I was willing to go out there with a torn chest muscle, but I took care of it. They took care of it, and it all worked out, man. It's crazy.
Do you think you need surgery on it, or just more mushrooms?
Probably more mushrooms.
Yeah.
No, they wanted me to get a surgery, and but as soon as they told me I would be out like about 6 months, it was just not an option at the time, And about a week ago, we did like an ultrasound, and all kinds of scar tissue had already filled up in there, and I was good to go.
So that being said, do you still want to take a little bit of time off, let it heal up a bit more, or are you just prepared to get back in there the moment they call you?
Nah, man, I'm like Wolverine. I heal up quick, I'll be ready to get in there as soon as they need me, man. Like I said before, I don't mind being that guy that the UFC could turn to for short notice fights. Fights before this, they were all short notice, and I put on a great show, but this time around with the full fight camp, I feel like I did great, and I fought a big name opponent, and I just completely outclassed him like I said I would.
You said big name opponent, so do you want another one? Is there a guy in mind?
Yeah, whoever wants it, man. Y'all just saw me. Whoever wants these hands could get it.
Nice, man. Good work.
Just a quick one. I know you mentioned the game plan a little bit earlier, but I thought you did a really good job of mixing in the kicks as well as the hands as well. Was that something specifically for him that you saw that with his style that would work out well? Is that something with just the way that you fight? Because they were very strong kicks as well. Is that something that you just wanted to work in as well?
Yeah, like I said, I had to focus on other things while my chest muscle was healing, because I couldn't throw punches, I couldn't do certain things. I couldn't throw my jab from this side, so I was focusing a lot more on kicks and just other aspects of my game, just trying to work around the injury. And the kicks were they just came out naturally for me. He wasn't checking them. So I just kept throwing them, and after a kick, he would leave himself open. So I was able to land a couple of little quick punches to kind of just keep him guessing. I originally wasn't planning on throwing as many kicks because I didn't want to risk him trying to take me down. Because like I said, he's a strong dude, and I've seen him take down other opponents, and he was able to take me down. But I just felt I'm equally as strong, and I have better technique in a way, in a sense, as far as jiu-jitsu goes. Yeah, man, it just all worked out.
Are you surprised he maybe didn't adjust to your jab a little bit more so? It seemed like he was just kind of walking straight into it, like you were having your way, that even when you were walking back, you were kind of able to throw that jab and still land multiple ones square on his nose.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. My main technique, my main strengths will be boxing, and from you can see in all my fights, my jab, and even in training, my jab is just my main weapon.
So does it feel a little, now that the pec's healing up a little bit, does it feel like you're back to getting closer back to full strength now that that's coming back?
Yeah, man. Actually, it kind of like a blessing in disguise, man. I kind of took off from loading up punches and being all about power and just focused on speed and accuracy this time around. So I couldn't hit with power during training camp this time, you know. So I was able to. I could hit the double end bag, speed bag, and just work on my speed and accuracy this time, and it just worked out. It kind of like blessing in disguise, you know.
Well, I know we always hear that fighters always sort of have like a lingering injury, you know, as their career goes on. This sounds like this was a little bit more than just a lingering injury. So what's the perfect number of fights a year for you that you could kind of take some time off and make sure the body heals in between? What's the perfect number of fights for you each year?
Man, I'm just trying to keep it going. You know, I don't really have the luxury of you know, taking time off. You know, I'm 34 years old. I haven't been doing this that long, you know, but I feel like I'm in my prime, and it's just time. It's just go time for me right now. I feel like I need to get as many fights as possible, which you know, I don't mind taking short notice fights. You know, the UFC could count on me to come out and be ready. You know, yeah, man, it's go time for me.
And last for me, the commentary team sort of touched on the fact of how MMA has helped bring you up from where you were before. So in terms of just how your overall quality of life and everything, how much has this sport and the UFC meant for you to get you to where you are today?
Yeah, man, mixed martial arts changed my life even before the UFC, you know, completely changed my life. You know, I went from just like some little thug street fighter from Los Angeles, you know, always in and out of jail and stuff like that, you know, until the point where, you know, I started caring about something other than, you know, the streets. So the UFC really, mixed martial arts in general just helped me grow as a man. And, you know, it gave me something to focus on. It gave me hope, you know, for a better life, for my family, for my kids. And you know, I'm all in at this point. You know, I'm in the UFC now. I made something out of nothing. And that's why, like, it's go time for me. I have no hesitation to fight any of these dudes. And you know, I'm here to stay.
And I think your story makes a great one for a possible role model for a lot of kids and for a lot of people coming up. Is that something that you would like to take on that role, or is that something that you would?
Yeah, man. Actually, I have planned, because, like I said, I've you know, kind of been like a little troubled youth, and I would like to go and you know, maybe speak to some of these kids that were in the position that I was in, and let them know, like, hey, I was here too, you know, and you know, just don't give up. You know, there's a way out of this. You know, and you could change your life. If I could change my life, and trust me, I'm no angel. You know, if I could change my life and my ways, then anybody can. You know.
How would you, if somebody wanted to try to reach out to you, what's the best way for somebody to, maybe like through Twitter or something? Or do you have something set up that if you wanted to try to reach out to people, how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, man. My Instagram at DRodUFC.
Very cool. Thank you very much. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Nice job by Daniel Rodriguez in the interview room. You make your way through the UFC rankings in the octagon. You make your money oftentimes in the interview room. And Daniel Rodriguez, Jeff Cain, you saw me. Whoever wants these hands can get some. I like that. He wants to fight anyone, anytime, any place. He's healed up. He's smashed Mike Perry. He's looking to take a step up in competition. But Daniel Rodriguez is a hell of a fighter. He also said, hey, I'm not just a street kid fighting from LA anymore. What a great job on the podium. Tremendous job in the fight as we get set. I mean, what a night so far of fighting, Jeff. We got Mackenzie Dern with a big win. She'll be in the media room soon. She just told Daniel Cormier, quote, I feel like champ material right now. Hard to argue with that, and hard to argue with Daniel Rodriguez saying whoever wants these hands can come get some. Two great performances back to back.
Yeah, it was a good performance for Rodriguez. You know, you kick off the main card on an event that's on, you know, free television, quote unquote free, and you know, you raise the awareness. Your stock raises. You know, your popularity raises. The demand raises. You know, usually your salary raises a little bit. And he put in a good performance. You know, I was watching Mackenzie Dern. I don't have the sound on, but her physique. If you go back and see her in her UFC debut and look at her physique now. It's an incredible transformation, So I think that maybe that Mackenzie has made big changes, and I mean nutritionist, dieting, as well as work ethic and things like that, because you just don't make that physical transformation without a hell of a lot of work, Jim. And you know that. You work out all the time, you know. Those gains don't come in a day.
Oh no. And I mean, look at what Bader did last night against Machida. This is a UFC show, but what Bader did against Machida last night on the Bellator card, just ground and pound, take him down, beat him up. Ground and pound, take him down, beat him up. But when you have that threat of the takedown, and Bader said it after the fight, he can feel when his opponents kind of lose a lot of steam. And that's what grappling does. That's what, pushing and twisting and turning and trying for takedowns and smashing people up against the cage and, putting them on the ground and wearing them down and throwing those punches and those elbows. And, it just literally takes you from levels of cardio. It'll drop you down 4 or 5 levels in one takedown sequence if you're not careful. That's the biggest. I mean, obviously getting takedowns, you get top position, you can win by ground and pound, you can win by submission, but the physical toll that it takes on people when you can grapple the way Mackenzie does. But the striking with Jason Perillo, dude, that was world-class striking that I saw right there. And you get what I like to call, the great athlete factor, man, the LeBron factor, or, whatever. I mean, LeBron would be a starting tight end in the NFL. LeBron, whatever sport he played, right? Well, Mackenzie Dern being a world champion in jiu-jitsu, how much easier is it for her to be a good striker? Not always the case, but when you're a great athlete, you can learn things so much more quickly and get so much better, so much quicker. Just look at the way Khabib's striking improved so much. And by the time he fought Gaethje, he could strike with anyone in the division where he never wanted to do that before. It's really interesting to see when someone is so good in one area, how it really affects everything overall. And that's where Mackenzie, no matter who she fights in that division, Jeff, I mean, look at that division. Whoever she fights in that division, they got to deal with this jiu-jitsu. And there's no one in that division on that level, jiu-jitsu wise. I mean, there's no one in the world, really, right? But
yeah. I mean, look, with Mackenzie and even Khabib, their striking doesn't have to be great. It just has to be good enough to close the distance and get them to where they want to be. But because Khabib's dominance in wrestling and grappling and top control is so stifling and so dominant, it opens up his striking. And the same thing for Mackenzie, because whenever you fight Mackenzie Dern, what are you thinking? You're looking across the octagon, you're like, the last place I want to be is on the ground with her. So, so you're worried about the takedowns. You're worried about her closing the distance. But for Mackenzie, she could just throw right hands and set up the takedowns. Kind of like Bader did last night. You throw that big right hand and you follow up by changing levels and do the takedown. Mackenzie's improved. But Mackenzie seems destined, doesn't it? I mean, there's athletes that just seem destined. And I feel like I felt that with Anderson Silva.
She didn't,
like
though.
When Anderson Silva
she didn't when she was at the MMA lab, though. She didn't seem that way to me, Jeff. And the struggles with finding the right home and the right coaches and the right training, everybody has to deal with that. But then having the baby, she's such a completely different person on every level than she was.
Well, I felt like she was destined. She just hadn't made the transition to being a full martial artist. She was still a jiu-jitsu person, And look, man, I've been around. Ryan, my son, takes jiu-jitsu. He's been taking jiu-jitsu. I've been around the sport a long time. Some jiu-jitsu people take this shit really seriously. They're in great shape, and then you have other people who are kind of lax. Jiu-jitsu is a weird community. You have these really aggressive jiu-jitsu guys who are in shape and no body fat. And then you have the guy that's kind of soft, man, who's laid back and lax but tough as hell and deceptively good on the ground. And so it's just a weird community. And I felt like Dern was so dominant in jiu-jitsu that she didn't have to. She let her physical and maybe her nutritional life kind of fall to the wayside a little bit because she was just able to do it on ability. And now that she's competing against the actual best fighters in the world, now she was competing against the best jiu-jitsu people in the world, but that's not the best fighter in the world.
She just keeps getting better. She keeps getting better. That's the thing. Yeah.
But I really do feel that she thinks she's destined. And then whenever Anderson Silva came in against Chris Lieben, I felt that when I saw him. I was like, man, this is a guy who believes in himself. And man, he's just destined for greatness. And I feel that for Mackenzie. Now, I'm not saying she's going to go in there and win the championship or anything because, she hasn't been in the sport all that long. But what she did today, she's ready for those top 3 and 4 ranked girls in the world. We're just going to see if she can submit them. And I'm kind of guessing if it goes to the ground, she's going to.
Interesting, right? Really interesting. I mean, it's just really, as we get ready for Julian Marquez, he has one of a few fighters in UFC history to have the Anaconda choke, taking on Smiling Sam Alvey. Now, Sam Alvey's my guy, and I'm going to get to this in a minute. But just to put a bow on the Mackenzie Dern conversation for now, when I look at that division, I want to ask you who you think she should fight next. As Buffer does the intros for Sam Alvey and Julian Marquez, Sam's a buddy of mine. I can talk about Sam for days. We will in a minute. But Mackenzie Dern, she's at 11 coming into this fight. I'm going to give you 10 through 5. Hebus, Torres, Watterson, Gadelia, Rodriguez, Nunes, who she just beat. Nina Nunes, not Amanda, in case you're wondering. Carla Esparza's at 4, okay? I don't see her necessarily cracking the top 5 with this win, even though Nina was 5. Number 1, where do you see her? Number 2, who do you want to see her fight next?
If I'm Mackenzie, I'm calling out Carla Esparza. I think that's her easiest win. And
that's a good one.
Girl in the world.
She said anyone in the top 10. That's a good one.
Well, I think for her stylistically, it works out great for Mackenzie. I mean, Carla's a wrestler. She's going to take Mackenzie down, and Mackenzie's going to say, "Okay, thank you, thank you a lot." And not to mention, I think Mackenzie's the bigger, stronger, a female in that fight. I think that's a great matchup for her and gives her a 4th ranked, opponent. So she'd take out the number 5 and then the number 4 immediately thereafter. But I think anybody in there, Claudia would be good because she has a big name. And she's been in title fights, and we know how good Claudia Gadelha is. And so a win over her, not to mention Claudia is one of the youngest black belts in jiu-jitsu whenever she got hers. And so that could get crazy on the ground, right? I would like to see that. But if I'm Mackenzie, I'm calling out Carla Esparza because I think that's my best matchup, and I'm going to look good in that fight. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting talked to about a title fight.
Isn't it crazy when you think back how long ago it was? Carla Esparza is a former champ. I mean, she lost the belt all the way back in 2015 to Joanna, right? But she actually won the inaugural strawweight championship by defeating
Rose,
a future champion, Thug Rose Namajunas. Remember when all those girls, there weren't enough athletes and they all had to fight each other constantly? There are so many more athletes coming in.
Well, they crowned that champion from the Ultimate Fighter. And I remember when Dana talked about the Ultimate Fighter, he said, "There's a Ronda Rousey on the show," and he was talking about Rose Namajunas. But we knew who Rose was before. Before she was on the Ultimate Fighter, she actually won MMA Weekly Submission of the Year with her flying armbar in Invicta. Rose is an incredible athlete. You talked about the best athletes in the UFC. Rose is one of them. Rose can play anything. Rose is a very gifted athlete. And I'm talking about speed, agility, basketball. If anybody's ever seen the video of Pat Barry throwing the tennis balls at her, he's launching tennis balls at her as hard as he can. And she just bam, 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 bam. I mean, it's incredible. And anybody who thinks that that's not incredible, get out in the backyard and have somebody throw tennis balls at you and try to punch them out of the air.
I remember we used to do the tennis ball drill at Power MMA and Fitness with the little trampoline, and you throw the ball and catch it. And Ryan Bader couldn't catch to save his life. He'd drop every ball. No, man, you can't catch. Difficult. It's a good thing you're a fighter. Yep. And he was trying to catch him. So meanwhile, Jeff,
punching him.
She's punching him. We got Sam Alvey here and Julian Marquez, by the way. And Sam's got 19 knockouts, 14 in the first round. This one is, what weight are these guys fighting at here? Jeff, Sam has fought at light heavyweight. This is a middleweight. I believe. No, it's middleweight.
Okay, this is at middleweight.
It's middleweight. Yep, and it's interesting.
Sam jumps back and forth.
Both guys have fought both. Both guys have fought both. That's why I was wondering real quick there. But dude, when I look at what Sam Alvey's done, he's put together he's a great dude, a funny dude. He was the head coach of a team in a league where I used to do, it was an amateur fight league, and I was the play-by-play voice for 5 years. He was the coach of a California team. We had some big name fighters coaching in that league and some fighters coming through, along the way. And Sam, I got the chance to call some fights with him, had the chance to do a lot of interviews and podcasts with him. Strange dude in a lot of ways, very interesting dude for sure. And, he's just one of those guys, man, just a tough dude from Wisconsin who from the day he walked in the cage just started knocking people out.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Alvey's hard not to like, right? He's smiling, Sam. He's smiling when he's getting knocked out. He's a good guy, and he's a gamer. He's taking some shots in this fight right now. I mean, but he has
fighting out a Team Quest with Hendo.
Yeah, Team Quest, man. I haven't heard that in a minute. Yeah, Team Quest. The old
Alvey
Randy
just got
Couture
rocked.
and Matt Lindland. Yeah, he's taking some shots.
Uh-oh.
He's a gamer. So we'll see.
Doesn't look too hurt though.
No, he's got a great chin. He's got a great chin. I mean, that's
got a great chin.
He's fun to watch, man, but it's not the most technical fighting. But that's not why he's here. That's not why he's at this position on the card. This is a fun fight. This is going to be an exciting fight. Going to get you on the end of your seat. And that's exactly what they're doing in there. They're throwing heavy shots at each other.
He wants to fight all the time. Sam Alvey told me he would fight every week if he could. You know, I mean, a lot of guys feel that way. Cowboy Cerrone's one of them. Sam just took another shot. But he's fought a lot of big-name fighters. His first UFC fight, Sam Alvey, was all the way back against Tom Watson in 2014 at UFC Fight Night Bader versus St. Preux. And man, but he's fought, you know, Derek Brunson a couple of times. Mm-hmm. He's fought, you know, Rashad Evans. He's fought Talis Leites. He's fought Jean Vellante. He's fought Little Nog. He's fought, you know, Ryan Spann 2 times ago. This is a guy he's fought some high-level guys, but he's taking some big shots from Marquez. He's delivering some too. Someone looking like they were going down a minute ago, wasn't sure which one. Just a lot of big-time wild haymakers. This looks like a bar fight.
Yeah, I mean, they're just biting down on the mouthpiece and throwing bombs at each other. Alvey, I felt like got wobbled a while ago, but then just recovered fine and has landed big shots of his own. This is a crazy, like, rock'em sock'em robots sort of fight. Now, I don't want to say it's that not technical. It's technical, but it's also pretty damn wild.
Crazy, man. Here we are with under 30 seconds remaining, round number 1. This is the co-main. What an opportunity for Alvey and Marquez to be on ABC TV. We might have another fighter coming up to the podium. Would they have Mackenzie already? There's the backdrop there. Our MMA Week camera center as usual. Back in a couple of weeks, Jeff and MMA Weekly will be there in Jacksonville. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you like us. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you stay with us as we bring you UFC Preview, UFC Fight Night Live, UFC Fallout, all from Jacksonville. And we will have, of course, a wall-to-wall coverage on the website, all our social media platforms of that one coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I can't wait for that one as the end of round 1 between Alvey and his opponent. Right now, tonight, Julian Marquez is in the books. Guys, I want to just thank you again for being in the chat right now. Thanks again, Isaac. You know, I love you, buddy. Super chat coming in. And I see the chat is pretty active today, Jeff. And I like it when the chat, because they have their own little talk show going. They're listening to us. They're commenting. They're talking about, you know, Justin Gaethje versus potentially Conor McGregor. They're talking about Conor and Poirier. They're talking about Conor and Usman. Ali Abdelaziz stoking the fires there after Conor came out, and, you know, he doesn't want any of him. And I mean, a lot of people think Usman would just kill Conor, and of course, Conor, he won't back down. He'll do it. But I can't wait to see these fights that we have coming up. Just so many huge fight cards, Jeff. I mean, obviously a little disappointed, not if you're a Kevin Holland fan or Kevin Holland himself, a little disappointed that we're not going to get to see Darren Till and Vittori. I was really looking forward to that fight. And I would be looking forward to that fight in a parking lot or a yard or on a boat or anywhere they would hold it. You know, it could, whatever. But hopefully they'll get a chance to run that back. But after this week, man, you got things really trying to start to take shape. So we lose this week, right? We lose this week, Darren Till. We lose next week, Paulo Costa. Instead, we get Holland, who doesn't have a chance to get a title shot, and Gastelum, who may or may not. That impacts the title picture at 85 quite a bit.
Well, if one of the underdogs win, it does. I expect Holland to lose tonight. You know, the blueprint, Brunson kind of gave the blueprint on how to beat Holland, and I expect Vittori to just take him down and do what he does. And then Gastelum, you know, that's a tall order. Gastelum, I think, has a better chance than Holland does tonight. But I'd be lying if I said I'm confident that Gastelum's going to win that fight. But yes, if one of the underdogs, one of the short notice guys win, then they've thrown a monkey wrench in the rankings and the title picture. If the higher rate guy wins, then, you know, we'll pretty much stay the same. But yeah, there's opportunity.
But just the fact that Paulo and Till aren't there has a huge impact on the title picture. Because if one of those guys would have won, they could have gotten a title shot for sure. One of those guys was probably going to get a title shot had they won. Maybe both. I mean, couldn't you see a scenario where Till got the win and Paulo got the win? And, you know, obviously the number 1 contenders bouts after there for Izzy. So now it's not going to be. But
they still maintain their ranking, and you know, and look, if actually it could help them, you know, because let's just say that Gastelum does win. I mean, Paulo may not have won that fight, and if Kevin wins, then they.
Sam's in trouble, Jeff. Sam's in big trouble. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Looking to stand back up and get a takedown. Marquez with a lot of big shots, dropped him. Now he's, kind of like pounding away, ground and pound. Sam covering up. He's still trying to get up, still actively and intelligently defending. So now Marquez trying to take it. Oh, he's got a neck crank locked in.
He's got a choke.
Oh, boy, Sam Alvey. Yeah, that was violent.
He went out. He went out completely.
That was a great choke by Marquez. That was awesome. Great job by him.
I
hate to see my friend lose.
I didn't see what he got him with. I knew that he had Sam hurt, and I don't know that he had any hooks in or anything. That might have just been a rear naked choke without anything.
It sort of looked like what it looked like what Khabib did to Conor, the neck crank.
I'm gonna watch it right here. They're showing the replay. I know that you're not getting the replay, but I'll hold off until you do. Yeah, I mean they're huge exchanges,
no, go ahead,
man.
Yeah,
well, they're just showing it, and you're seeing the combination. Oh, he got hit with a huge right hand.
Yep.
There's some shots to the back of his head right there too.
Eddie Alvarez got screwed, by the way. Just had to throw that in when you said shots to the back. That was ridiculous. Embarrassing.
Yeah, he got Alvey hurt, and then he was able, as Alvey was sitting up on the canvas, he was able to sink in a rear naked choke, but he didn't get his hooks in because he didn't need them in. Alvey's hurt.
Yeah.
And so Alvey was unable to defend the choke, and he was just able to choke him out unconscious with the rear naked choke without having any hooks in. That's a testament to how bad Sam Alvey was hurt. Alvey's a better jiu-jitsu player than that. But like I said, man, a couple punches to the head and the black belt will turn to a white belt real quick. And that's what happened right there. He was hurt, and they got that choke under the chin, and that was it. He didn't even need any hooks in. That was impressive, man. That was impressive.
Took a lot of shots, just exactly like Conor Khabib. Exactly. But that was, he had the choke in a little deeper under the neck, whereas Khabib's where his arm bends, where the angle comes in, Khabib's elbow and his arm were not up underneath Conor's chin as far as that one was with Alvey, if you're wondering. But Jeff, man, that was a nice performance by Marquez. And Alvey didn't tap. He went right out. Marquez knows he was in a fight, though. I mean, he took a lot of shots. That was a very entertaining fight, man. Good job by both guys. And, that's what they're there for. Neither guy, Alvey's never going to be a title contender at this stage of his career. He loves fighting. He loves what he's doing. His wife corners him. They have a blast together. It's just a fun life for Smiling Sam. And I appreciate that type of professional fighter. I appreciate all the fighters because, look, very few fighters ever have a chance to become a champion. Let's be honest, right? So you're gonna be there as long as you can. You're gonna fight as many times as you can. You're gonna make as much money as you can, have as much fun as you can, and then you're gonna get out, man. But the chat's starting to creep up a little bit, Jeff. We're getting closer to the main event: Vettori versus Holland, right here on MMA Weekly, UFC on ABC2. Jim Grieshaber and Jeff Cain. Call me Grease. Call him Cain. All the Caniacs out there, right? You should see Jeff getting ready for a show. That's a lot of fun with Jeff Cain, and we still have our co-main event coming your way as well, Jeff. Right now, in just a few minutes. It's going to be exciting to see Arnold Allen and Sodiq Yusuff. That's a golden opportunity for two not really well-known fighters to get in there on ABC TV.
Yeah, and look, both of those guys are on good win streaks, but they don't have the wins over. They're at the point of their career where they're going to get some matchups after this. The winner of this fight's going to get some tough matchups. And you can look at their records. They have some decent wins, but they don't have that marquee name yet. And this is kind of that crossroads. This is the number 10 and number ranked 11th guys in the world. And the winner of this fight's all of a sudden going to be fighting the 7th and 8th. And you're going to have big names on the record. But yeah, somebody's winning.
Oh, wait a minute.
Going to end right here.
Arnold Allen is the guy who beat Melendez on the Jones Santos card, right?
Yeah. He's got got good wins.
The Melendez last UFC fight.
Yeah, and he beat Nick Lentz, which is a solid win, and he's on how many fight win streak? A 9-fight win streak. What I'm saying is he doesn't have that big name yet. But he's going to. He's on the path, and then Sodiq is the same. I think he's on a 6-fight win streak, right? Yeah, on a 6-fight win streak. And his last win was over Andre Fili. So that's his biggest win. But they haven't got that win over a big name. But the winner of this fight's going to get a big name in their next outing. It's just sad that somebody's long winning streak's got to go in this one.
15 straight combined, but the Andre Fili win, obviously the biggest one for Sodiq. And when you look at the Melendez win, this is a big fight. This is the UFC does this on purpose, man. DC's interviewing Marquez right now, but Jeff, the UFC does this, and they're brilliant with this, to put this fight as the co-main on ABC TV, bigger numbers because it's free TV. It's just brilliant. It's brilliant. Not many fight fans know who these fighters even are. Casuals don't know at all. So you're tuning in and you go, wow, man, I just saw Mackenzie Dern. Wow, I just saw Amanda Nunes. Nina, she's number 5. I saw Mike Perry already. Okay, cool. This isn't a huge pay-per-view. Wow, there's Smiling Sam and Julian Marquez. And now all of a sudden they go, wow, Arnold and Sadiq. Wow. That is a golden opportunity and just a brilliant job by the UFC to continue to build fan bases and make stars out of fighters.
Yeah, I mean, it's a meaningful fight. I don't know that either one of them is going to be a star, but it sets them up to fight and become a star in their next outing. They're going to get exposure in this one for sure. But, Allen wins or Sadiq wins, people are still going to be like, who's he beating? But what it does is sets them up for the next fight. And so, yeah, the UFC is building these guys. They're going to get some more recognition. They're going to get a solid win over a ranked opponent, no matter who wins this fight. And somebody's win streak is either going to go to 10 or go to 7. And that's always marketable for the matchmakers and the ESPN and ABC or wherever the hell the fight's being shown that week.
All right, don't let me forget, Jeff, to ask you about Marquez in a minute. I want to ask you if Marquez is going to be ranked. Do you have a vote for UFC and Bellator? He's outside of the top 15, but he goes to 9-2 with this win. And I don't see who he's calling out right now, but he's pretty animated. So can't wait to see him. By the way, you're going to see the fighters coming through all night long right here on MMA Weekly. Mackenzie Dern should be next to the podium, and then after that you'd have Marquez, and then we have our co-main event and our main. And we're going to be here. Don't forget all card. We're going to have all week, every week. We're going to have our preview show every Wednesday. It's going to be live. It'll be up all week. We're going to have our live streams during the fights. We're going to have our Fallout show. We are live streaming. Next Saturday night's going to kick ass because we will be talking about the Jake Paul-Ben Askren fight on Triller, watching those guys sparring and training. It's getting all cranked up and heated up. And we will be also talking about the Gastelum Whitaker fight on the same night. So next Saturday night, we get a little spoiled. We get the spectacle, the pop culture event of the Jake Paul fight. If he beats Ben Askren, he's a legit boxer. He's a legit fighter if he beats Ben Askren. Now, I don't think he's going to. We'll talk about that a lot this week. Maybe we'll even do a preview show for this one, Jeff. Who the hell knows? But I do know this. You have number 9.
To be a boxer before he's considered a boxer in my book. So you can beat up NBA players and wrestlers all you want, exactly. But he got to beat a boxer.
Got it. Well, but I mean, look, if you beat Ben Askren, who's a world-class combat sports athlete and a former champion, I mean, look, everyone says, oh, it was just one that he was the champion of. Well, go tell Mighty Mouse Johnson that it's just one. Go tell Eddie Alvarez, even though he got screwed, that it's just one. I mean, gone are the days where and they were never really there where a UFC fighter could just go anywhere and beat everyone. It's not like that. It's not like having Tom Brady go play in the XFL or, you know what I mean? It's completely different. Bellator and the PFL, I mean, look, you have former UFC fighters all over the Bellator tournaments. You have them all over the PFL. Rory McDonald's, Misha just abruptly retired, so Rory McDonald's replacement opponent is also a former UFC fighter in that one, and I'm trying to remember who it is now that I said it, because now, of course, my mind goes blank, and it just happened this week. You remember, Jeff? I can't remember. But the point is, UFC fighters don't just dominate everywhere they go, and that's a good example of that.
No, look, Justin Gaethje, World Series of Fighting, fought for the title. He's sitting
Michael
there. Michael Chandler. And then you see Benson Henderson go over to Bellator and just get destroyed. It's just weird that the way the sport. Look, it's a fight. Anybody can win on any night. That's the reality of this. It's the danger is in centimeters. A punch lands a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, you're knocked out. This is a game of inches, and and to have an off night, it doesn't matter what the hell promotion it is. You had an off night. So I don't subscribe to that too much. Do I think the best fighters in the world are in the UFC? For the most part, yes, and particularly the lighter divisions and the women, and definitely the women. But there's other divisions where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if the best featherweight in the world's in the UFC right now, or the best bantamweight, rather. And so we'll see. Bellator might have that guy,
or the best welterweight, People always saying that, but you never know. I mean, I think they do in Kamaru, but. I look at this, man, and I'm just, Rory McDonald, by the way, is fighting Curtis Millender. But I look at this card right now, and I look at what's taking shape in the UFC, Jeff, week in and week out, the different divisions starting to clear themselves up. injuries, people missing a lot of fights over the months because of COVID. You know, you got to be able to keep fighting and keep making that belt. Darren Till, with a win here, could have been right in a title fight. Now, who knows where he's going to fall in that pecking order? That's just the way the game goes. Paulo Costa, who knows what's going to happen with him next? And either one of those guys, not Till, I'm sure, but either one of those guys could, if someone was an emergency replacement, weigh in and be there. Right? Who's to say that one of them couldn't be there for that fight, for an eventual title fight, and get that shot with a win here? So you're not only getting the two fighters who could end up with a title shot against Izzy, but you're also getting someone who could be like a replacement, like a step-in, like Chandler was for the Gaethje Khabib. And I think it's interesting. People are suggesting Colby. I think, didn't Colby say he'll weigh in for Masvidal Kamaru? Didn't I see him say that somewhere?
Kobe says a lot of things. Until the fight promotion says it, I don't really believe anything he says. But that's just me. That's just me.
Oh, but I like the idea of having a third person there weighed in. I like that.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. I think it's a good idea to have a backup plan. I don't know if Kobe's going to be it. Because neither one of the guys care to fight Kobe. And so I don't know. But the UFC is going to have the final say. If he's the backup, he's the backup. But just because Kobe says he's the backup doesn't mean he's the backup.
Isaac says Costa got to stop drinking. He drank the bottle of wine to try to sleep. Not the best move. But think about this. When they went to Fight Island and Masvidal went through this, I can't wait to see more. And they did a documentary on it. But what the fighters went through, I know for a fact, because I know Paulo pretty well and Captain Eric. And I know that they went from Brazil to London to Fight Island in less than a 24-hour period. So think of the time changes, the schedule changes, the training change, quarantine, and everyone has to go through it. Everyone has to go through it. But when a guy like Adesanya, who's fought 70 million fights, that doesn't faze a guy like that. Costa's still young. He's still really green, still getting started in his career. It had a big effect on him. He couldn't sleep. He drank wine. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Now, would he have beaten Paulo? Beaten Izzy? I don't care if he ate 1,000 cans of Popeye spinach. I don't think he was winning that fight. And I love Paulo, but I just don't think he was ready to beat Israel Adesanya at that moment in time. And, it's all about timing, right? Ask Mayweather if he would fight Canelo now. Hell no. They fight him when the timing is right. They try to. And sometimes you catch a guy or a girl at the right time, and you never want to fight him again. Nope, already beat him. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I've been. Is he a champ? He's a different breed. He wants to fight Vittori again. He wants to do those things. But, if there's a guy out here, hey, man, I already beat him. That was 4 years ago. So what? It's a done deal. Like Machida Bader. It's a tournament. Machida wants the belt, but like, shit, I don't want to fight him again. I already have a win over him. I don't want to give him a chance to even the score. Just like Conor all those years. Never had a fight. Always had that win. And like you said, Khabib over Conor. Why ever fight him again? It's interesting to have to fight someone again, especially years later. There's Sadiq, man. Sadiq, 6 wins by knockout. Jeff, 11-1. He's quick, strong, got some power. And Arnold Allen is pretty well rounded. He dominated Gilbert Melendez. Granted, a fading, aging on the way out, Gilbert.
Yeah, and Gilbert's kind of a throwback to a previous generation. I like Gilbert and that whole camp. That whole Stockton crew, that kind of emerged out of there. But Gilbert's fighting style, I feel like, is a throwback. It is a good win. Gilbert's tough. And Gilbert has knockout power. But I feel like the sport's evolved past where Gilbert's style was, if that makes sense. And that's not a knock on Gilbert.
He was a great fighter, man. I was there for the Sanchez fight, Jeff, in Houston.
Yeah.
Kane JDS 3. The Sanchez that was the Melendez Sanchez fight was better than the main event, and the main event was incredible. Kane and JDS went to war for 4.5 rounds. Kane dislodged part of the octagon with his head. I was sitting right there. And literally, to be strong enough to have your head pushed against the fence and rip it out. Ugh. I can't even literally. Just think about that for 1 second. But that fight with Melendez and Sanchez was one of the best fights I've ever seen. DC was there on that card too. I think that was the DC Roy Nelson fight. If I'm not, I don't know. They all kind of run together on me now. But I just remember seeing Gilbert there. And as someone in the chat, Jeff, and I want to kind of change gears here for just a second, talking about the Masvidal fight coming up against Kamaru. Colby did say he would weigh in and be there, and people are saying it gives him a built-in excuse. That kid's a gamer, man. He wants the belt. He wants to fight the best. Colby Covington wants the belt, and he wants to fight the best. It is what it is. And Masvidal does deserve the rematch. Colby deserved the rematch too, but Masvidal really deserves it, man. He flew across the world, fought him on 6 days' notice, lost 20 pounds in 6 days to do it. #1 pay-per-view of the year, made the UFC a shit ton of money over the last 2 years, Masvidal. He deserves the rematch, right? Will he win? That's a different story. Not the best matchup for him overall, right? As they show VyStar Veterans Memorial Coliseum coming up, man, in just a couple of weeks, Jeff. When that female co-main and co-main, that portion of the card with Wei Lee and Thug Rose, right? And Valentina Shevchenko and Andrade, 4 former champions, 4 of the best of all time. That's unbelievable. And then you have Masvidal and Usman. The UFC coming strong for the fans the first time back.
Yeah, Jorge may deserve the rematch. I think the UFC's doing it because of the buy rate that it's going to put on there. And then they have this excuse, he took the fight on 6 days' notice, but so did Kamaru. Kamaru didn't train for Jorge. I expect the fight to be even more one-sided this time around, regardless of how long Masvidal has to train for it. It's a terrible stylistic matchup for him. And Kobe, I don't think deserves a rematch. He got finished. And I did watch that fight, and you can see the eye poke on the replay. And the commentators both talk about it. They slow it down. He definitely got poked in the eye. I think people are confusing the second round illegal knee that didn't land low. But I watched that fight, and I don't see Kobe Covington.
Oh, I think by people you mean me. I've been the one saying that. Was I screwing that up?
No, people in the chat said it. And so I went back and watched. Well, I watched a bunch of these fights over the last week. There's a second round, and there was an illegal knee, and they show the replay. It does not land low. But what happened is he hits the belt line, and it moved the cup. And so, because Usman, as soon as he does it, he moves the cup back, and so you could tell that he thought he got hit low, but he did not get hit low. He got hit in the belt line, and it moved the jock strap in the cup.
But Jeff, come on, like you're a guy, I'm a guy. How many times you been hitting the nuts? If you get hit there, right away. There's no way you think you got hit there.
Yeah. Whenever you get hit in the belt line and your cup moves and pinches your nutsack against your leg,
you got to move the cup down, right?
Yeah, that's what happened.
But he carried on like a car ran him over. Like
nope. The fight was stopped for 29 seconds. 29 seconds. That for the illegal knee, and then the eye poke was just an eye poke. He got poked in the eye. And then Kobe just got finished in that fight. I mean, I don't think Kobe was eating right hands from the beginning. I hope they rematch. I hope they rematch. Kobe can't sit on the sideline forever, though, and talk that crap and think that that's going to get him a title fight. You're going to have to fight somebody.
He's got to get the winner. He's got to get.
Maybe. Depends on what all happens.
If Usman loses a tight fight, there's a trilogy for sure.
Yeah. And there's other fights in that division that are going to take place. The longer you sit on the sideline, people pass you. Inactivity is inactivity. You can sit over there and have beat the #1 guy in the world, but if you haven't fought in a year, and I've beat the number 3, 4, and 5 guy in that year time, I'm the #1 contender, not you. I am.
Unless you're Leon Edwards, for some reason the guy never drops. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and look at that Houston card, man. Look at that Houston card, dude. Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz. I mean, there's a fight for, you're going to sit out for a long time, and you're going to have some fights fall through, and you're going to keep your ranking. Man, Leon Edwards is getting it. If the payday's not now, it's coming after this one.
Let's get the chat involved in this. What happens if Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards, the number 3 welterweight in the world? Who gets the title fight next? Kobe Covington or Nate Diaz? Nate Diaz, period. No question.
What about you make the Diaz-Covington fight right after that?
Why? You make it for the title. Because I tell you what, if Nate
think Diaz would get the fight right away, a title fight right away? Even if Kamaru loses a close man and there's a trilogy?
No, if Kamaru loses to Masvidal, that changes everything. What I'm saying, if Kamaru beats Masvidal, as I think he is going to, and Nate Diaz beats the number 3 ranked guy in the world, then the UFC is going to have high incentive to put Nate Diaz in a title fight, which could be crazy because if Conor beats Dustin, then you could have the trilogy with Diaz and Conor for the welterweight title. If it plays out crazy, there's a lot of ducks in this pond right now, all vying for things. And Nate Diaz, if he beats Leon Edwards, throws a monkey wrench in 2 divisions.
Dude, Jeff Cain, let me just tell you right now, what you just brought up Holy shit. Yeah. Conor Diaz 3 for the welterweight strap. There's a possible road to that now.
Yeah.
Holy.
I don't think it's a
Never in
likely
a million
road.
years would you ever think that. I mean, no, but there's a chance, right? There's a chance. And that's a good card. I mean, Jacare's on that card. Ferguson and Dariush is on that card. Oliveira and Chandler, Edwards and Diaz. That's the one that sold out in Houston. That's the next pay-per-view. UFC 262.
I do want to say, I don't expect Diaz to beat Edwards. I don't expect Masvidal to beat Usman either. And Conor, I don't know. I think that's a 50-50 fight still, even though Poirier kind of beat him easily last time. I feel like it's going to be a closer fight this time around.
Speaking of a big fight, too, in the middleweight division, how high were we on Hermanson after he submitted Gastelum? But then Vettori, who's the main event tonight, no problem at all with the Joker. The Joker's going to get back in there against Edmund Shabazian. That's on that fight card, too. I mean, that's a big night in Houston coming up next month.
Yeah, Vettori's the real deal. You know, he just hasn't kind of gone over with the public yet. And he probably is in Europe because he's European. He probably is a star there. I just don't know. But in the U.S., he hasn't kind of got over that popularity hump yet. But a win today with the main event, the chatter is going to keep coming about how well he did against Izzy, And people are going to go to YouTube. They're going to watch that fight. And then all of a sudden after today, I expect Vettori to be a popular fighter. Because I don't think Kevin Holland poses much of a threat except at the beginning of the rounds when they're standing and striking. I feel like Vettori's just going to take him down and do to him what Brunson did, except inflict a hell of a lot more damage than Brunson did.
Yeah, no doubt. That's Jeff Cain. I'm Jim Grieshaber. Call me Grease, call him Cain. It is MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Vegas 23, UFC on ABC 2, UFC Fight Night Vittori versus Holland, whatever you want to call it, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. 3 different levels for 3 levels of pain. Now, I'm going to show you guys here. Check this out, right? We got level 2, we got level 3, right? And we got level 1. So what does that mean? They got roll-ons, they got creams, they got tincture. Do you know what tincture is? Bet you don't, because I didn't. You just squeeze that little dropper under your tongue. You know what I'm saying? I call it sublingual. They call it tincture. Whatever you want to call it. 3 levels for pain, for stress, anxiety, help you sleep better. It's Level Select CBD at CBD Emporium. And right now you get 50% off both brands at StayInTheFightMMA.com. It's StayInTheFightMMA.com. You get 50% off your order just because we love you here on MMA Weekly. Go to StayInTheFightMMA.com. Enter the code MMA50. Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight. Man, I'll tell you what.
Speaking of that,
we have our camera front and center. We have Jake Hatton, by the way. Jake Hatton is ringside in the Apex on Instagram for MMA Weekly. So check that out. Like the YouTube, subscribe, fill in the chat. We got number 10 and number 11 right now. It's weird because I pull up the official UFC rankings, and no, they are listed at 10 and 11. Arnold Allen, number 10. Sadiq Youssef, number 11. A big fight for each guy. Jeff, this is a co-main event on ABC TV. You're number 10 and 11. You got guys like Stevens and Ige and Emmett and Cater waiting for you with a win here.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity. But Jim, I want to jump back to the welterweight division and finish out on a point, because what could really hurt Colby and also kill a trilogy match, even if Masvidal wins, if Masvidal beats Usman and he has the belt, and Nate Diaz beats Leon Edwards, the BMF belt and the welterweight title in the same fight is going to happen. There is no trilogy.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, and so
you really think Dana's going to give Diaz a title shot? You really do?
Yeah, he gave his brother one on a loss and a year suspension. It's about the draw. Are we going to see Masvidal and Diaz again? Yes, we are going to do it. But if it could be for the title and the BMF belt, then there's no way to capitalize more than that. Now, look, a lot of things have to happen for that to happen, but there are 2 paths that could lead this welterweight division in a weird direction, and Nate Diaz holds the key to it.
Arnold Allen with a takedown against Youssef, but now Youssef worked for a choke. Some nice grapple. These guys are quick and athletic. I like these 2 fighters. Arnold Allen's got a lot of potential, you know, and I like Sadiq too. But, you know, these featherweights are in a loaded division, man. They're in a loaded division, but they can make some movement, Jeff, in the second 5. They're not coming in the top 5 anytime soon. But, you know, I mean, Yair and you know, maybe. I agree with you. But, you know, you got Zabit, Ortega, Holloway, and Volko.
No, there's not a lot of room
Allen
to
just took a
move in
couple
that
shots,
division.
too. Oh, Jeff, I got to ask you,
this
man,
is
how did I wait until the co-main event to ask you what you think of the new Venom unis? The fighter kits. They look better than the
They are what
Reebok
they are.
ones. I'll say that. I think someone's coming back to the podium. Let's see what we got here. We got the co-main event with Arnold Allen and Sadiq Yusuf, 10 and 11 in featherweight. It's MMA Weekly's live coverage of the UFC
I mean, they are going at it.
Fight Night in Vegas. And here's another fighter coming to the podium. I believe this is Julian Marquez, who picked up a big win, a technical submission over Sam Alvey tonight. Here he is live on MMA Weekly from Vegas.
What's up, y'all? How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I just choked on it.
Was that the performance a bachelor could be happy with?
That is a performance a bachelor could be happy with. That is a performance that my team, myself, my family are all excited for. We put out a veteran in the sport that we took on short notice, and I am absolutely proud of that performance.
Did you think it was going to be sort of the slugfest that it became?
Yeah, I knew that, he needs to do whatever he can to win this fight because, let's be honest, the UFC is probably going to give him his papers and send him on his way. So he brought out the best that he could in himself to try to take me on. And I knew he wasn't going to wrestle. That weight cut was very difficult for him. So to go out there and wrestle me, he wouldn't sustain that type of energy throughout a 15-minute fight. And I knew and I believed in my training, I believed in my coaches and what he said, how it was going to happen. Everything that went through and went in there was verbally told to me by my coach moments prior to that. And I saw that and I believed in it. It just, I hit harder.
Yeah, you hurt him on numerous occasions during the fight. There was a bit at the end of the round one, I think, where it seemed like he kind of clipped you and maybe had you a little bit hurt. Were you hurt?
Yeah, he definitely hit me, and it gave me like a sensation, like it hurt my eye, and I was like, whoa, what was going on? I felt like he poked me in the eye, so I didn't really know. And I was just kind of backing up, and I felt like I rolled my ankle in the process. So I was like, oh, snap, like what just happened? And then the bell rang, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I looked at James looked at me, he's like, oh, you're fine. I was like, yeah, you're right, I'm fine.
Did you think the finish was fair or could it have been stopped even sooner?
Yeah, look, this is the thing. You either, tap or sleep, and he went out like a warrior. I hit him with a bunch of rapid punches when I was on top of him. They were tough. I know I hit very, very hard, especially in those positions. I produced a lot of power in that short range. And when I took his back, he, brought his neck up to where I got that submission. I saw it there. My fight IQ went in. So when I went there and went for the submission, I think he did. He was moving. He was doing everything he needed to do to keep the fight going. That's what he does. That's why he's a veteran in the sport. He knows how to fight hurt. But when it came to the submission, he wasn't going to tap. He was going to sleep. And honestly, I'm proud of him for not tapping. He fought for his last, to his last breath that he could. And that's a warrior. That's an honorable man right there.
Yeah, I know you can't probably even allow these thoughts to enter your brain and stuff, but is it a little bit harder knowing that he's probably gone for the promotion now to fight a guy like that?
It's either him or me. And this is business. I'm not trying to lose my paycheck. I'm not trying to lose my job. And it could be the other way around. You could be sitting here talking to Sam, and I would be back there walking home, sad and everything. I was there 31 months ago, and a little over than that. This is the fight game. It's all business. This isn't personal. I'm here trying to make a paycheck. I'm here trying to make a statement, and I'm here trying to get it to the top. And that's it.
Last thing for me, I couldn't quite make it out, but on the broadcast I believe I had a challenge for badminton.
Yeah, badminton. I challenged the Kansas City Chiefs players Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill to a badminton pickleball. It's either one, either or. They can choose which one they want to lose to. This is the thing. I'm the king of Kansas City, and they just have to recognize that. They just have a little bit more followers than I. So I think we need to compete against each other.
Would you mind telling me what pickleball is?
So pickleball, you take a wiffle ball and a flat paddle, and the same thing as tennis. Same exact concept as tennis. It's just a smaller court and a very tougher sport because you can hit it super hard and you don't realize you hit it hard. It's fun. We can go. Come to Kansas City. I'll show you around. I'll feed you some barbecue. We'll play pickleball and a chicken pickle. It's a very fun place in North Kansas City.
And I know you play I'm sure the fight plays out in your head multiple times before the fight actually goes out there. But yesterday you even said, watch, he's going to come out with some Taylor Swift and then we're going to get thrown down. So when he walked out and you heard the Taylor Swift, did you know the fight was going to go your way?
Absolutely. I knew everything. I knew he was going to come out with Taylor Swift. The thing is, I love her. I love Taylor.
How can you not?
Like, how can you not? Like, dude, she's amazing. She's beautiful. She has just a godly voice, and she does all of her own music. I love her. So I knew he was going to. He just, he's trying to play mind games. There's a lot of things that he tries to do. He's a veteran. There's a lot of young kids in here that will fold to that kind of stuff. But you can't, if you walked out to something like way harder, probably would have gotten in my head. If you walked out to my music, I'm the one that walks out to Miley Cyrus, Icona Pop, Taylor Swift, Nicki Minaj. That's me. Who else is our other one that we walked out to? We walked out to Dark Horse by Katy Perry. Like, that's my band. Don't try to take that from me.
Have you heard any congratulations online from your number one fan, Miley, yet?
I have not looked at my phone. I shut my phone off earlier today, and I just focused. After I talked to my family, I just focused because the main thing today is, defeating Sam Alvey, getting the victory, and going home a champion. But I'm sure when I get home and I open up my phone, there'll probably be some messages from a lot of people.
And last thing for me, when you morph, when you did the Power Ranger morph, what do you morph into out there?
I morph into the animal that you guys see in the octagon. And I had to morph back into this lovable, teddy bear that you guys see right now. Because I was very, very aggressive in that fight. I don't know if you saw that. I had bad intentions.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Did you think the ref stopped the fight later than he could have, or did you think it was a good stoppage?
I think that was great. I hit him and rocked him. I ended up dropping him, went to his knee. He went for the wrestling, and I was hitting him in the side of the head, but he was still pressuring forward. He was still moving. The hits that I was hitting with him was with my knuckles. They're hitting the side of the head. He was still in it. As you saw when I turned around to his back, he was trying to stand up. So he still was there. He still was conscious. He was still moving. I think that was a great letting the fighter fight. Because if he would have dropped again, it would have been different, but he didn't. And then I went for the choke, which then finished it. Like, we're fighters. We need to fight. Sam Alvey's been in there multiple times. How many times do we think Sam has been out? He's been dropped multiple times. His last fight, he got dropped flat back, and then he fought to stand back up to a draw. If they would have called it right there, we wouldn't have seen that draw. We wouldn't have seen what had happened. So Mark Smith is an amazing referee, and I think he did a phenomenal job.
Congrats, and would you like to call out any females for pickleball?
Any females for pickleball? I already called out the one female that I need, and we're best friends now. So, whenever the Bachelor comes on, I'll have a whole bunch of them in line that I can end up figuring out which one.
All right, congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Is that it? Thank you, guys. I'm gonna take this.
Yes,
Okay.
There's Julian Marquez with a big win over smiling Sam Alvey tonight. UFC on ABC2. Oh, we can get that sound turned down from Vegas. That'd be good. It's pretty loud coming back on us there.
He's biting on the left hand, so the left kick is set up.
There we go. All right, we got the press room feel. I think we had a little bit too much ambient noise there that time, guys. We had a little bit of a cleaner feed before coming straight through the box. So I'm not sure. Yeah, pickleball is a lot of fun, man. I have some good friends who are really good tennis players who are great at pickleball, and we actually have a pickleball court in my neighborhood that they just finished building. They have 3 tennis courts and 2 pickleball courts. Pickleball's a rage now, and hitting on Miley Cyrus after a win is a rage too. Yeah, I mean, I like Marquez. He's got a lot of personality. He's got a lot of fun things to say. He's a good fighter. I don't know if he's going to be a title contender or not, but he's going to make some money. He's going to entertain some fans. He's going to have a good time.
I don't know about pickleball, but I'll go to Kansas City and spank that ass in some wiffle ball.
Oh,
but not pickleball.
Yeah. And Kansas City's got some good food. I'm not doing anything but eating.
I played in the Wiffle Ball World Series, Jim. I played in the Wiffle Ball World Series in St. Louis. That they had a field that was Fenway one way and Wrigley Field the other, and they changed directions depending on the way the wind was blowing. And I lost in the championship game.
Really?
But that's okay.
You lost in the championship game?
I threw a no hitter in the game that I won my game, but we lost to the championship on a 1-0 home run. People couldn't hit me, man. I threw in the 80 mile an hour, and it's wiffle ball, and I had this up. I threw no hitters like fucking 30 of them that year.
You threw a riser?
I threw the ball as hard as I could at the ground, and it would go like 2 inches off the ground and then rise up and hit the top of the strike zone. It was impossible to hit. You couldn't hit
like
it. And if you did
like
hit
a
it,
Jenny Finch.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of people.
Remember when Pujols and Piazza tried to hit Jenny Finch and they couldn't hit her because the ball's coming on a different angle. It's coming up instead of down.
Yeah. Oh, it was hard to hit, and if you did hit it, you just popped it straight up to me. That was a crazy. I don't know, man. Read some magazine that they had a wiffle ball World Series, and I was like, what? So I contacted them, figured out how to get into tournaments, won the Kentucky Championship, knocked off the Tennessee people pretty easily, and then went up there and was playing in that tournament. And then we just got beat by a home run, the last game.
Here we have Mackenzie Dern, biggest win of her career over Nina Nunes, right here tonight, UFC in Vegas on MMA Weekly. It's Mackenzie Dern.
You get them on the ground, and then they've got nothing for you. Is that how you anticipate the fight going?
Yeah, definitely with Nina, because I know she's a striker, so it was that typical striker versus grappler. My last fight, Verna, she has like good grappling, so even though I was more confident to go to the ground, even against a grappler, but I knew that the way to, not risk too much getting a broken nose and get him and things like that was to take it to the ground. So that was the game plan, that was the idea, and I'm really, really happy that I was able to get it.
Not to disrespect your opponent, but when you're on the ground with the people you're fighting, do you feel the difference in levels? Can you just feel that, okay, that this is there and they don't see it? Can you just feel that?
Yeah, 100%. Any of the girls that I fight, when I go, especially like Nina, for example, I see she does a lot of like up kicks and things like that. So it's dangerous, to get up kick and get injured. And so as soon as I went to the ground, I kind of like I could have pushed the pace a little bit sooner, but I wanted to see kind of just what her movements would be, where she was gonna go. And as soon as I kind of felt her movement, I said, okay, you can tell, I've been training jiu-jitsu my whole life, so you can tell, okay, I can put this pressure here and there, and she's gonna be kind of falling behind me.
Does that give you a sort of a sense of comfort when you're there and you feel that these openings and where you can put the pressure? You think, this is basically where I'm at home now. There's nothing they can do from here.
Yeah, definitely. Even when I heard the corner, like, 2 minutes left, 20 seconds left, like in my mind was, okay, 20 seconds is still enough time, especially when I had like her arm like basically lassoed in, so for me, 20 seconds is still like a lot of time, so it definitely gives me a lot of confidence when I feel that.
So where do you go from here? I mean, she was a highly ranked opponent. Where do you see yourself? I know you're saying you're improving and you're treating it more seriously now, but with this win, where would you like to go?
I would like to go to number 5 in the ring, but I don't know. I think I know Marina, who beat Amanda Ribas, who beat me. She's, I think, number 6. And Claudia Gadenas, who Nina beat Claudia, and I just beat Nina, is number 7. So I think around there, I don't know if Tatiana Suarez will come back and fight anytime soon. I know Joanna doesn't have a fight, and they have a couple fights coming up pretty soon in the division. So a lot of things gonna happen, and I hope I can go to number 5, but we'll see. I think 5, 6, 7 around there will be a good jump already.
And that's the who, but do you have a when in mind? I mean, I'm sure you didn't take much damage in this fight, so when would you like to get back in there?
April, May, June, July. Like July, August, I think. I like to fight 3 in 3 months if I don't have any injuries. When I went from like LFA and Victa, was kind of on a good momentum, and then even in the UFC, I did a lot of kind of back-to-back fights. 2020, I had 3 fights in 6.5 months, so that was like 2 months between each fight. So yeah, if I can get another 3 months for the next fight. I know that, the higher level you fight, you need to like prepare even more. So I'm not like, it needs to be in 3 months, but I'm prepared so much. I'm just adding a little bit more things to the game. So 3 months would be good. July, August.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You had talked beforehand at the media day and stuff about how you had given yourself over to let your coaches mold you. You wanted to be this piece of clay. When you go out there and have a performance like today, does that just reinforce everything that you believe in all these choices? Because even the commentary was saying they thought you looked more fit and that your cardio and everything looked better than ever. But with a performance like that, does it just reaffirm that you've made all the right decisions lately?
100%. I think the best thing was just to be able to, like, literally the punches, the takedown, and then the submission we were just doing in the locker room before we went out. So the fact that you can have the mind, like the calmness to be able to go and put what you do, the training, in the fight, that's what makes me feel like, okay, everything's, you're in sync with your coaches, with your training and everything, because you can do all the training, but if you don't have the mentality, the right mind to be able to put that in the fight, then you still need to find the synchrony, like synchronize with your training, with your coaches. But I feel I'm in sync with everyone right now, and I'm really happy with the decisions I made with my strength training coach to bring from Brazil is Anderson Silva, strength training coach. And yeah, Perillo, I think even Perillo, he wants I always want to show like that I'm getting to where he wants. I asked him like, man, I still look a little excited, right? When I'm like, he's like, yeah, a little bit, but it's hard, when you see, especially for me who's a ground girl, when I see like the blood or I feel that they felt my hand, you get so excited, I want to have a knockout too eventually one day, so just to be able to keep that calm, to not risk, like the champ, I'll hit her, but she'll counter back, so those are the times that I have in my mind already, and I know I want to change, but I'm so confident that I'm at a good moment in my career, in my life, in my training.
I know you're it's tough to kind of put against you because you are a champion when it gets down onto the ground, but I know a lot of people are wondering if she maybe came back too quick after having the child. Maybe she should have took a little bit more time, but you were in there and you actually fought with her. Was she doing all the right things? Did she look like anybody? Do you think that she came back at the right time? I mean, go ahead.
I think so, I think, I'm not saying that because I beat her, but I came back with 4 months, and she came back with 6 months, and I had my first loss too, was when I came back. But the first fight back, if it's an injury, if it's a pregnancy, if it's you're having problems with your gym, any time away, it's sooner or later you need to have that first fight back. So really, if I know that she has a good support system, Amanda Nunes, her Reagan, the best thing she's gonna do is go home, kiss her baby, hug her, and be back into training. And I know that she's gonna be even better in 10 months and things like that. So for me, who went through the same experience, I don't regret coming back soon and having that first loss to get it out of the way, and you start to get back into the rhythm. And I know she's gonna get back into the rhythm fast after this.
And finally, following up with that, one of the great things I thought about this was the UFC and everybody sort of promoted this as two strong, proud mothers that were going in there and sorting to fight. After it was over, you could see you leaned over and you said something to her. What sort of words did you guys share? What moment did you guys have after it was all said and done?
Yeah, I just said, man, I know everything you're going through, it's such an honor to be here in this ring with you for everything that we went through, as moms, and what we represent for the fight, and we're at the highest level, in mixed martial arts. So it's the training I know she put behind it, us being away from the babies, even though the baby's maybe on the outside of the cage, sure, and the training, and you're in the training, but that's a moment that you're trying to get punched in the face and you hear the little cry, you hear the thing, and your heart's kind of like, it's Mother Nature, you have that feeling. So I don't want her to be down. I know she won't be down, but I really had a really good connection with her, and I know we hopefully inspired a lot of people, a lot of women to go and bring the babies into their lives, not stop their lives for the baby, bring the baby, because they're our best friends, they do everything with us.
So what's the next step? Do you take a little bit of time off, rest, recoup, celebrate a little bit, or do you jump right back in the gym and stay busy for the rest of the year? Yeah, no, for sure, jump back into the gym, probably have like a beer tonight, with my husband. Ooh, and yeah, I know. I'm thankful, the fights were done early today, so probably go on the strip and walk around a little bit and let Moa, she's been in Vegas every time for my fights, so let her really, 'cause now she's almost 2, she'll start to see the lights and things like that. Enjoy tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday back in the gym. Congrats on the win. Yeah, thank you.
You talked about kind of knowing that the baby's just on the other side of the cage. I wonder if people actually realize that you can't turn it off,
No.
right? What are you going through, not just in the cage on fight night, but during training and as you're home and you're trying to go through your schedule? It's a real balancing act. Is it that you are able to turn it off, or is it just something that's always with you?
Yeah, it's something that it's always with you. Really, like now, at least from my daughter, the older she's getting, and like I know that she kind of starts to say some words and she can communicate better, you know, what she likes, what she doesn't like. Makes you a little bit calmer, you know, and knowing that, okay, if she's with grandma, she can, I don't need to translate everything, you know, for them, like baby language. Only the parents know the baby language, right? But it's something, yeah, even at the hotel, you know, it's the first time during the pandemic, her and my husband could stay at the hotel with me. So usually they were at the other hotel and I needed to like go out for 2 hours and come back, you know. So even at the hotel, I'm trying to rest and things like that, and kind of Moa's just getting into things, and you're trying to rest. I know my husband's there, my dad is there, grandpa's there, you know, but as the mom, you know, you have this feeling that you want to go and check on her, see what she's doing, tell her, no, Moa, come here, and I need to like constantly remind myself, no, let dad do it, let grandpa do it, it's okay, you know. So it's definitely something you learn to adapt in your training, you learn to get through it. I think during the promos they even saw like Moa, she's at the gym with me during my sparring, and sometimes I'm so focused now that she comes and gives me my water, and my coach is like, oh, she's next to you, and I didn't even know she's next to me, you know, because I'm like, oh yeah, you know, and I remember she's here. So it's a training. I'm trying to train my mind just to really focus and, you know, trust that, you know, dad can do the same job you can, you know, and stuff like that, you know. But moms, we always think we can do it better, you know.
Last question for me. You're expecting to move up. There's a big fight happening at the top of division in a couple of weeks. How do you see that going?
Yeah, I think it was so motivating. You know, I got to see it from my warm-up room, you know, the promo for it and everything. I said, man, that's my division. I see myself with those girls soon, you know, in the near future. A lot of things can happen, but I think Zhang Weili, she'll keep the belt. You know, she looks, at least from social media, you know, I don't know her personally, but she looks just training all the time. Even Dana White's posting her like training, you know. So I said, man, she looks in a good, you know, she looks like me, you know, like at a good moment in her life. But I think when I think to beat Zhang Weili, I think to submit her, you know. So I know that Rose has submissions. And I think that we already saw Zhang Weili with Joanna, that's a striker, and she won. So I think that if anyone has the technique, in my mind, my strategy to fight her, it's Rose, that flying armbar, you know, the heel hooks. She has these long legs, and I think she'll give a lot of trouble to her. But I think that she's just at a good spot in her career right now. Okay. Any more?
Just a quick one. Congrats on the win, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
In the very beginning of the fight, I know it was only 5 minutes we got to work with, but there was a little bit of nervous energy to close the distance. Did I see that correctly, and what helped you kind of settle down and just go to work?
Oh, for me?
Yes, in the very beginning of the round, there was like a little bit of nervousness that you shot in and just wanted to close distance and attack and get it to the ground. No,
I mean, I think I started to see like. I really want to try and find my distance first. That was so maybe that's a little bit that anxiousness, you know, and I have that, like, that's something I'm really trying to control, is to not get so excited, you know. But my biggest thing on this fight was to get my distance first, even if it was to be standing up, but I wanted to get my jab first, my right hand first, and get the distance first. I thought maybe she'll come out with kicks, you know, she does a lot of kicks, so I started to like land a couple punches, and like I could see like, okay, I landed them good, and like I said, that's when you kind of get too excited and you want to just, you know, keep going forward. But yeah, I'm glad that on the cage I felt I wanted to get some elbows and kind of be aggressive. In my mind, I'm thinking like I'm trying to show him this more aggressive, like I'm already an aggressive fighter, but even more aggressive, like with elbows and knees. But I just felt kind of a little bit ahead the whole fight, you know, like standing up a little one step ahead of her timing wise, you know. But yeah, I wasn't nervous. I was my coach was like, man, are you okay? I'm like, man, I feel like I'm fighting a jiu-jitsu tournament, you know. My best year in jiu-jitsu, when I won my first absolute world title and all these things, was how I was feeling now, you know. So just ready to go in there and have fun and feel everything, standing or ground or the cage, whatever.
Excellent. Congrats on the big win.
Thank you.
Mackenzie get forward. Picture at 100 and in the strawweight division, 115 pounds in the UFC on the women's side. Jim Grieshaber, Jeff Cain. Grease and Cain, UFC Vegas 23, UFC on ABC2, live on MMA Weekly. It is powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. Both are great lines of CBD products. CBD Emporium has 3,000 milligrams CBD, for example. They also have CBD right here. I take this every single day. You can see that right there. It is for my immune support. I love that. I need the immune support with all the stuff going on in the world. I haven't had a sniffle all year. Not one sniffle since COVID started. I love it. Keep washing your hands, people. Keep being, and most of you keep social distancing, by the way. I just want to bring that in. Just a little distance. I don't want to be isolated from the world, but a couple feet don't hurt you, right? So Level Select CBD from CBD Emporium. Each line is fantastic. Level Select has no THC, the purest CBD on the planet. They have 3 levels for 3 levels of pain, stress, anxiety, insomnia, whatever you're fighting, whatever you're dealing with. For example, I take the immune support in the morning, and I take the CBD with melatonin at night. I put the creams on, I put the roll-ons, I put the tincture under my tongue every day, and it really does help. You don't want to be taking that shit like the aspirins and the ibuprofens and the acetaminophen and especially the opiates, man. You don't want to screw your whole life up taking all that shit, and trust me, you will. You will. And I know people. Ask Alonzo Mourning about acetaminophen. Ask some of these people about that and what happens when you take too many pain relievers. They're good here and there, but stuff like CBD, man, it's all natural. It's incredible. Get yourself educated. Get yourself out of the dark ages. THC is legal almost everywhere now. CBD, for some reason, people still have this hang up on CBD. There's no THC in it. It's not going to get you high. It's not weed. It's not marijuana. It is a much, much better and safer alternative for pain relief, stress, anxiety, insomnia. And that's why I take it every day, and you should too. Go to stayinthefightmma.com. That's stayinthefightmma.com. Put in the code MMA50, and you got the hookup. Holla if you hear me. Wrong rapper. That's Master P, not DMX. R.I.P. DMX. But also, Master P came out and said, hey, we can prevent things like this from happening in the future with our legends and our icons if we take care of people while they're still alive. There's a novel concept, Jeff Cain, taking care of people while they're still alive. I kind of like that. How about you?
It's a great idea. I don't know about in practice. It doesn't seem like we practice it a lot. Yeah, it's a good idea. Look, the main event is getting ready to start, Jim. It's getting
Marvin
ready
Vettori
to
is right ready to enter the octagon. Dude, he is a legitimate, what a striker. I mean, and you read about him and you watch him. He's got a clothing line coming out. I mean, his strike rate is incredible. His defense is great, but he's also a guy who legitimately, when you think about him, he did not have a big career in any of the individual disciplines in MMA. He came into the sport as a kid, Jeff, and I think it's a cool story. And we saw what he did against Hermanson, and he trains with Kelvin Gastelum and Dariush and all those guys under Master Rafael Cordero out at King's MMA in Southern California. And it is the main event of the evening. We're about to have Vittori and Holland go at it. But when you look at Vittori, he grew up watching, the Fedors, the Crow Cops, people like that, Shogun on Pride. And that's what gave him the bug. Remember, he's from Italy. So he's a guy who's got a lot of personality. He's got a lot of swagger. He's got a lot of ambitions and goals and dreams, a ton of talent, Jeff. He's not a great grappler, but he's a brown belt. He's not the best striker in the world, but he's a terrific striker. He is the epitome, in many ways, of a mixed martial artist, the new generation who does everything just about equally well.
Yeah, we're going to see, he has a lot of wins by submission. He likes to take the fight to the ground, and he does. He mixes it up. He's a well-rounded fighter. I just think for this particular fight, the blueprint's been laid, and why deviate from it? The best place Kevin Holland has to win this fight is in a striking exchange, and I don't think Vittori needs to give him that opportunity. Put him on his back, grind him like we saw Brunson do, and Vittori can get out of this thing pretty unscathed. But the longer he stands out here with Kevin Holland, he gives Kevin a great opportunity. Kevin makes things happen, man. He finds ways to win whenever he wins. I know he looked terrible in his last outing, but look, man, when you face a better wrestler, that's just how bad they make you look.
That's a bad matchup. Bad matchup. And he didn't help himself any by talking so much throughout the whole fight. People, he didn't help himself with that. But it is who he is, man. Don't change who you are. Don't change who you are, man. Do what got you there.
I thought it was funny when he was asking Khabib for help in the corner. Come over and corner me. Help me with my wrestling. I thought that was kind of funny. But it also, Yeah, but when he's
That was
doing
funny,
things
too.
like that, you have to question, are you focused on the fight that you're in? You're talking to the crowd. Are you focused? But look, that's who he is. And so I'm not criticizing it, man. If he can win fights and talk and do all that, then that's just who he is. And that's kind of his niche. I don't think we're going to see that in this fight, though, Jim. I think we're going to see a much more focused Kevin Holland in this fight, but I don't think it's going to help him. Of course, I say that, and every round starts standing.
Yeah, and Vittori went up 4 spots without fighting. He's at number 6 at middleweight. Holland fell to number 10 after his loss to Brunson, who's all the way up at number 4. Number 5, Till is out. Number 2, Costa is out. Whitaker fights Gastelum, who's number 8, obviously next week, and Adesanya's waiting. I mean, when you're talking about these guys, these are high-level fighters. And Vittori is a guy, he UD'd a dominating win over Jack Hermanson the last time out. Carl Robertson, Andres Sanchez before that, Cesar Ferreira. He lost to Israel Adesanya. That was his last loss, and it was on April 14th of 2018 in Arizona. I was doing my show live outside the arena that day, and I'll never forget that day, and I'll never forget that fight. And that was a good one. And I remember thinking, wow, these two guys are really good, these two young kids. Well, Izzy's now the champ, and here's Vittori ranked where he's ranked. So when you look at these guys here and you look at Holland ranked number 10, Vittori coming into this fight, a big favorite, minus 350 on some sites, all the way down to minus 300. Holland is at plus 235 all the way up to plus 275, Jeff. So, and look at the size there. Not much size difference at all. I think Vittori just got low blowed. Yeah, he did. Yep.
Yeah, Holland
right
seems
out
to
of the
be the
chute.
faster fighter in the early going here. He's fast. But yeah, he kicked him straight in the cup. I mean, straight into it. Not a bad way to slow a guy down early in a fight. He didn't do that on purpose, though. He throws that front kick to the body. That one came in a little low. Hopefully Vittori takes his full 5 minutes, man. I hate when fighters don't. I would sit on the ground and say, yeah, let me know when we hit the 4 minute and 50-second mark, and then I'll get up.
If you guys aren't seeing this, and for my dudes out there, I want to let my guys know, if you're not seeing this, his foot was completely extended with the toes bent, right? And the arch completely done. And those toes dug in from under the bottom of the sack when it made content. So it might have gone under the cup. Just saying.
Right, yeah, it depends on what we don't
that,
know what cup that he wears. Yeah, it depends on what cup that he wears, because there's one that goes pretty far back. I was a catcher in baseball, and so I'm kind of pretty well aware of the cup situation. Center field, pitcher, and catcher, man. But I just
big
had an
warning
arm
from Herb. So you had an arm, dude. You had an arm. That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah,
you play center.
Yeah, but I've had my cup shattered. You know, it's so weird because I've had my cup shattered and felt nothing, like was fine. And then other times where like a ball will bounce up and hit the bottom of that cup and push it up just a little bit, I'm dead.
Worst.
Yeah, you know,
worst.
Dead. And so it's hard to say, man, that look, that's a sensitive area, right? Every guy knows that's a sensitive area.
These guys are letting him go, Jeff.
Yeah,
they're letting him go, man. Holland just landed a nice knee. They're both throwing bombs in there. Now a little grappling or a little, you know.
I don't
it's
like
Vittori
cool. standing here. I don't like Vittori standing and striking with him. I just think that it's very dangerous.
It is, but Vittori's a great striker. He has 9 submissions, but he's a really good striker. I mean, his efficiency as a striker is as good as you're going to see at 85. He's right there.
Yeah, I just think he's got a higher percentage. Yeah, I just think he has a higher percentage of a win, you know, a better chance of winning if he just eliminates what Kevin Holland's great at. He's closed the distance, and he's clinched him now, you know, and kind of wearing on him and pressing him against the cage. Now, this is smart for Vittori, in my opinion. And I'm not saying Vittori can't beat Kevin Holland striking. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that's Kevin's best chance at winning.
Vittori very animated during the week. You just see it in the video there. It's funny. I mean, he's looking for a takedown here, not able to get it. Landed a big right hand on the way in. I think we might be. This is more weigh-in footage, but you look at Vittori there. I mean, he's always smiling. He's always very animated, a lot of personality. He's got his own clothing line. He could be a big-time superstar and make himself a ton of money. He's got that charisma. He's got the look. He's got everything. He's just got to keep winning. That win over Hermanson after what Hermanson did to Kelvin. And Kelvin looked great his next fight out against Heinisch, which is why I can't wait to see KG in there next week against Whitaker. But, you know, so much of it, we fall into the trap of, this fighter's better than that fighter, this guy's this or that guy's that, this guy's higher ranked. Even in team sports, this team's better than that team. But matchups matter so much. Just like in the NFL, you could have a 5-11 team or a 5-10 team in week 16, you know, beat a 10-5 team. because they're a bad matchup for them. When you have a bad matchup against an opponent, I mean, look, Ben Askren against Damian Maia, for example, people didn't think it was a bad matchup, and Ben might have played into his hands, but sometimes it's just a bad matchup for your skill set versus your opponent's skill set. And I like what Vittori's doing here, but sometimes it's a bad matchup, and you're going to beat everybody else. But there's one person who's your kryptonite, right? I mean, it happens time and time again where you can beat everyone, but there's that one guy who always gets you because their strengths play into your weaknesses.
Yeah, and timing. I mean, sometimes you just have that. Sometimes you just have that off day. Whenever I was a sophomore in high school, we won the state championship in baseball, went 33-1, and our one loss was to a team that won 2 games that year. It just happens that way.
Wow.
Sometimes, it just happens.
I'm a Cowboys fan. We beat the Redskins in our 1-in-15 year without Troy Aikman when he was a rookie. He was hurt. Steve Walsh went and played on the road. Redskins were one of the best teams in the league, 1989, and the Cowboys went and beat them. That was their one win of the year. Just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Rivalries, fighters who train together, fighters who have had guys who got to fight Dominic Cruz before one of them finally beat him. I mean, there's so many factors to play in.
I know that I'm a little bit ahead of you, but Kevin Holland just scrambled back to his feet. That was nice.
I don't know where you're at. I'm at 45. It must be just about to happen for me.
Yeah, I'm at 22 right
now.
But
nice. Yeah, he flipped right over.
Yeah, he reversed. That was crazy. I didn't expect that out of Holland.
Gotta love the somersault. I still can't do one.
It worked.
Big left by Vittori.
Yeah,
Holland
they're going at it,
dude,
man. This is a great fight. This is
and let's not forget how good Brunson is, man. Let's not forget how good Derek Brunson is, right? When you're talking about Holland. I mean, that's a tough fight for anyone.
Yeah, it's the worst matchup for anybody. A wrestler makes you look so bad. Whenever you go in against a superior wrestler, you just look terrible. You look like you don't even belong in there. And that's what Brunson did to Holland. But that doesn't mean that everybody else can do that. Brunson's a better wrestler than Vittori. Vittori may be a better fighter, though, than Brunson. So we're going to find out, though. That's why we do all these fights. But yeah, Brunson's a bad matchup for everybody, and that includes the champion. It's just a matter of, can you stop his takedowns and keep him from just stifling you? Kevin Holland wasn't able to. But Vittori doesn't have those takedowns. He wasn't able to control Holland. We talked about Bader last night. Those wrestlers are a different breed, especially those high-level Collegiate 1 wrestlers or Olympic wrestlers, because they're so heavy on top of you. It's almost like it's not right. That they hold you down, and you're like, man, this guy weighs 175 pounds. He feels like he weighs 400. And that's just who they are. And Brunson's one of those guys, man.
Yep, Kamaru's one of those guys. I mean, they just lay on you and they take everything right out of you. I mean, DC was very smart with his wrestling, an Olympic level wrestler. You have so many fighters over the year. Look at what GSP used to do together to guys with his wrestling. He would wear his opponents out on the ground, just wear them out. Here comes round 2, by the way. Vittori very excited to get back out there. Holland, this is an athletic fight, Jeff. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh, they're going at it. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. It's fight of the night if it ends right now.
Brunson,
back to GSP.
Holland's barely missed on some shots.
Yeah. GSP is such an anomaly because that was a karate guy who came in and did over the course of a 3-year period became the greatest wrestler until Khabib came along. GSP is a special athlete.
Arnold Allen, who won the co-main over Sadiq Youssef, is GSP's teammate. GSP still in the gym a lot, Allen said. Vittori shooting in for another takedown on Holland, who landed some shots early in the second round. I think Vittori is taking the Jeff Cain advice from the beginning and just saying, man, the hell with this crap. This guy's hit me a few times now, pretty hard, pretty flush. And if you saw when Vittori went in for the ground last time, when he went to go down and do some ground and pound after he dropped him, Brunson, if I say Brunson again, please just mute me and throw me off. Holland barely missed him with 3 or 4 legit up kicks that would have turned his life. Vittori is a little bit reckless in there. A little bit.
Yeah, I agree. And then that gives the openings that Holland might need or that he can exploit. But right now, Vittori's in top position. He got reversed a while ago, so he's learned from that. Maybe he underestimated Holland on the ground a little bit. But you can see right now he's mainly trying to maintain top position. It's position over submission every time. You maintain position, then you land a couple of shots and you make sure you maintain position. Don't ever give up position. And I think that's where Vittori is in this fight right now. He's like, screw this. I'm just going to stay on top, pepper him with shots to the body, a few to the head. I don't have to finish this fight. I'm winning it.
Yeah, Vittori right now too. When you're Marvin Vittori, oh for sure, that's the way he fights. But when I look at him, right, and he wants a title shot, so he's hungry for that. But right now, he's not taking any chances, letting Holland get those hips up off the mat. That's how he was able to get out last time. He did keep those hips pinned down.
Yeah, it's such a we just had McKenzie. Yeah, we just had McKenzie Dern fight, which is a jiu-jitsu player. And the difference between the wrestlers and the jiu-jitsu is the jiu-jitsu, you want to give somebody a little bit of space so they move. And then and you can capitalize on that opportunity to submit them. In wrestling, you don't give anybody any space, right? That he don't give you any space if you can help it.
Well, he's not giving him any space right now. Kevin Holland's in a bad spot. He's upside down with his legs up in the air, and Vittori's just hammering him up against the pad where the two cage panels meet each other, and his legs are way up in the air. His head's way down on the ground. He's turtle. I mean, it just is great. Vittori's in great position right now.
Yeah,
he might finish this year. It looks like it might be getting close.
I don't know that he's hurting Holland that much, but he's definitely. I mean, he's dominating this round. Holland just now spun away from the cage, so his head's not against the cage. So props to him for that. But he still can't get Vittori off of it. Vittori's going to ride out this round, doing as much damage and slowing. I talked about the speed a while ago, and this is how you slow Kevin Holland down. You take him down, you make him carry your weight, you pound on him a little bit, and the next round when it starts, he's not going to be quite as fast.
Yeah, he's got a minute and a half left, just full on smothering Holland right now, and now just jerks him back over toward the cage further, trying to pin him up against the cage again and get that head up against there. Man, this is dirty. This is not fun for a striker. It's not fun for anybody, but the wrestlers love this shit. That's the fun. People laugh and they're like, man, it's not fun, but the wrestlers love it. Bader even said it last night. I could go cardio all 25 hard. Bring it. The wrestlers are a different breed. They just are. They love this kind of shit. And if you're not prepared for that, when you get into this sport, and obviously Holland's been around, he's prepared for it. But man, these guys, they thrive in these circumstances, and they thrive when it gets dirty and nasty. And Vittori is not a great wrestler, but he's a really good grappler, and he's got 9 submissions, and he's heavy. That's the thing you talked about. He's a 185 pounder, but he's a big 85er. He's heavy. He's suffocating. He takes the energy and the life right out of you. And then he's so efficient and so smart with his striking. He throws a lot of volume, but very, very smart with it and very efficient. And you can see that here. He's not just throwing bombs and wasting his energy. He's being very smart, picking, poking, attacking where he sees an opening, and now just letting them go. Letting the punches go, not letting Holland go.
Yeah, Vittori's a bigger guy. He's got a lot of muscle. So I'm going to be interested to see as this fight wears on if he fatigues. You're right, man. Wrestlers are a different breed, but Vittori's not a collegiate wrestler. He hasn't done this grind since he was 7 years old. You know what I mean? For like somebody like Ryan Bader, it's just like every day, right? This is my life since I was a little kid. Since I was, since before my balls dropped, I've been taking people down and wrestling them. Vittori's not that way, and so fatigue might come in for Vittori because he is expending a lot of energy throwing punches from the top. And I don't know if he did a heck of a lot of damage. He definitely damaged Kevin Holland, but I don't think he had
got a big cut above his left eye. Holland does. He's got a big cut above his left eye, Jeff. And Holland and Vittori are both absolutely exhausted. Vittori's not sitting, though. He's standing up. No stool for him.
No, he's coming across. He's eager to get this started. He's ready
Holland's
to go.
eyes messed
I do
up,
like Vittori, man.
The cut is right on the lid where the lid meets the brow, Jeff. The cut's in the worst spot
they're having a doctor
Holland,
check
like right here. Yeah,
they're having a doctor check that.
And it's swelling up fast. They were going to start the round, and the doctor actually came in. Herb was going to start the round.
Well, they let him continue. He's continuing. That is it's not bleeding right now. They did a great job of controlling the blood flow of that cut. The bleeding stopped, so he's not his vision's not impaired. But as soon as he gets hit a couple more times, it will be. And he just got drilled with the left hand.
And the last thing you want to do, I mean, a lot of times of course, you can never be in that position, but you're standing there and you're like, man, you don't want to deal with any more of this. Holland's a little tentative now. Yeah, he's backing up right away. This is a different Kevin Holland right now. When you experience that kind of stress on you and, just laying on you and taking the wind out of you and beating you up for now, the better part of round 2, almost all of round 2 and a decent part of round 1, and they're going for a takedown here in round 3. Good job by Holland, though. Holland got up. Didn't think he was getting up from that, Jeff. Vettori relentlessly, doggedly pursued. How many times have him and Kelvin Gastelum gone at it at King's MMA? I'd like to see that wrestling practice. And Mark Munoz in there. Vettori trains twice a day, 6 hours a day. He does striking with Cordero and wrestling with Munoz back to back. Can you imagine striking with Rafael Cordero and wrestling with Mark Munoz back to back? You guys got to know. I mean, for those of you who weren't around, Mark Munoz, legendary UFC fighter and wrestler, collegiate wrestler.
Vittori has mounted Kevin Holland.
He's mounted. All right.
He just put on an arm triangle choke, jump to the side. He's going to finish this. Scoot out.
Oh, you're ahead of me, Jeff. What's your time say? 3 what? I'm at 3:45.
3:23.
All right.
Yeah,
don't spoil the finish for people.
Yeah, he had a mount, and then he put on an arm triangle choke, and he jumped to the side to tighten this thing down, and Kevin is fighting this thing as hard as he can, properly defending it, might I add.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm caught up. I'm not caught up, but I'm where you were, obviously, 20 seconds ago.
Yeah, I'll let this roll for you and stop commenting on it, but that was Kevin Holland is defending this textbook properly, which is something I didn't expect right there. I honestly, when he slapped that on and jumped to the side, I thought that the fight was going to be finished. Good job,
Really
Kevin
good
Holland.
technique. Yeah, I just saw him get out. 3 minutes, he got out. But he's in the same position he was in last round with his back up against the cage, his feet way up in the air. He's on the bottom. I mean, he's on the tops of his shoulders are what's on the mat, in the back of his head. He's all scrunched up. I mean, and now he's going to flip over and give up his back in the process. I mean, there's no win there. You got to take the lesser of 2 evils in that position, or more than 2 evils. But he's free. 2.5 minutes left. He's free.
Yep. For now, Vittori's going to keep doing this. He's going to throw a combination, close the distance, and keep going for these takedowns over and over. And eventually, Kevin Holland's not going to be able to get up. But we'll see.
Holland can't see out of that eye, Jeff. Holland can't see out of the left eye. Like, it was clear that, he can't see. He couldn't see the punch coming. He took a shot as Vettori smartly hit him with the right in the eye that he couldn't see through and went right back in and got another takedown. Well, he's got his back. And this is a bad spot. It's been a bad spot for about almost 2 full rounds
closed,
now.
But I mean, who knows, man? When you have an eye like that, I've had eye injuries, and you can't see. It doesn't have to be completely closed for you not to be able to see.
I still can't believe you're the Nolan Ryan of wiffle ball, man. But you're throwing a riser, Jeff Cain. I want to play wiffle ball against you.
I know. I used to be. It was good.
Well, maybe now you'll throw the knuckleball. You'll be a Negro brother now.
Yeah, I probably can't. I can't throw as hard as that because I've got the 2 fake hips. But we'll see. Who knows?
Wouldn't mind seeing the Vettori. Yeah, but wiffle ball now you can do it with a beer in the other hand. Vettori with that shoulder up against the face of Holland and pinning him against the octagon. Still only round 3 out of 5. We haven't even reached the championship rounds yet. Not saying we definitely will. How you guys liking this in the chat? You enjoying the main event? I think it's a really good fight. Let us know how you're feeling out there. We love you. Like us, subscribe. Follow us and on every platform, man. Right here on YouTube, of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Jake Hatton's in the Apex today, doing all kinds of stuff on our IG, MMA Weekly. Very excited for all the stuff we're doing. Don't forget, Monday, 9 a.m., new day, new time, live, UFC Fallout. Jeff and I will be here. And then, of course, UFC Preview will be on Wednesday mornings at 9, and that's Pacific time from now on. So we're excited to roll that out next week. And then the pay-per-views the week after. So we got Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whitaker next week, the big pay-per-view with Usman and Masvidal, the rematch coming up in 2 weeks. The first one with a full sold-out arena full of fans. Vistar in Jacksonville. And you want to be honest and be real about it. The UFC should go there every year from now on because they really did them a solid and got the first fights in. So I'm glad to see the first fights back were at Vistar and the first fights with fans. Couple good rights, by the way, by Holland toward the end of the round.
Kevin Holland is
Holland's talking to him.
now.
Holland wasn't talking the whole fight. He's talking now.
He's talking now. Look, I think Vettori is gassed right now. Holland was able to get up, separate, land some big shots, and he started talking to him. And just looking at the body language in the corner, Vettori looks gassed, man. He's got to dig deep. He's got to dig deep here. He's winning the fight. Do not get me wrong. He has won all 3 rounds.
Are you a little surprised that he hasn't been able to do more from top position with the amount of time he's been on top?
Yeah.
Fair question.
Well, I mean,
right?
I think what we're seeing is that Vettori is not Brunson, right? He's not on that level of a wrestler or grappler, but he's more of a finisher, man. I mean, he's trying to do damage, but that's what I think's happened is he's expended too much energy trying to damage Kevin Holland, and Holland's been able to get up. We're going to see. This round's going to tell us a lot right here. In the 4th round's getting ready to start. There was
a quick right hook in the exchange that led to where the mouthpiece flew out, Jeff. There was a quick right hook from Holland that looked like it did the damage. But his left eye is almost swollen completely shut. There's no blood anymore. But I don't think he's seeing out of that thing unless it's right down the middle, straight from here. But I doubt it. And, he's at a real disadvantage here. I mean, DC Stipe fighting with the one eye. It happens, right? It happens. Now, Vettori being aggressive, big left to start the round by Vettori. Hello. Welcome to round 4. But Vettori is definitely a couple steps slower, right? I mean, big time. And Holland, I think, really senses that, and he's throwing it. He's throwing heat right now. And he's starting to connect, Jeff. Vettori could be, I mean, he's up in the fight for sure, but this is not a position you want to be in. I mean, you're number 6. You want a title shot. You've had this fight in your grasp, controlling it the whole time on the ground. You don't want this guy on his feet. This is Jeff Cain's strategy for Marvin Vettori from the opening of this fight. There it is. Take him down. Do not risk being on the feet with this dude. We saw at the end of the last round. Not a good idea.
But look at Vettori now in top position. He's got Holland down. He's working in Holland's guard, and he's not. The output is just not there, right? I mean, he's trying to get a second wind right now. He's just kind of laying on him, and that's not a bad strategy right now. Catch your wind, but he's not throwing those punches. In every other round leading up to this, when he was in this position, he was throwing punches to the body and head, posturing up, and now he just isn't doing those things.
No, he's taking a break. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, and
I
don't blame him.
Thank you to the Directly Indirect show. By the way, Jeff, the Directly Indirect show in the chat says, good job, fellas. Thank you. We appreciate it. Please keep subscribing and liking and helping us with that algorithm, man. We need to keep these shows, building and growing and flying. We want to bring you the best content. Jeff's been here 18 and a half years. In fact, half of our staff, 6 of us really, but 3 of the guys on our team have been here for 18 and a half years. I mean, you're talking about when Dana and the Fertittas came in, MMA Weekly has been right there since just about that day. And Jeff Cain's been there the whole time. So the things that Jeff has seen, the things that he's done over the years, and I've been there 12 years covering the UFC with Cage Side Seat and my own stuff with the Power MMA show. And, it's kind of fun. All these years, we got 30 plus years combined, the 2 of us. And our guy in Vegas running the show has another 18 and a half years covering the UFC. So it's a lot of fun to put all this experience to use and to sit here and do this with you. So we appreciate it when you guys like what we're doing. We really do, because we do it for you. We don't do it for ourselves. I mean, partly, right? I mean, you'll do everything for yourself, but you know what I'm saying? We love having you be a part of it. We love your comments in the chat. Isaac coming in with the super chat, like all kinds of cool stuff. So Directly Indirect show is going to sub now. Thank you, buddy. We went up. How many subs did we go up last month, Jeff? Quite a bit.
I do not know.
We went up a lot.
Vettori still he's got top position. He briefly had Kevin mounted again, and Holland was able to get back to the half guard position. So Holland's his ground game isn't quite as bad as I think a lot of people thought it was after that Brunson fight. He's done some things. He's been able to reverse Vettori. He's been able to get up several times. He was able to get out of the mount here and get back to half guard. He's still losing this fight. Don't get me wrong, but he might not be that fish out of water that a lot of people thought he was.
No, Holland's really earned my respect. I mean, look, when you go back to back in 2 weeks or 3 weeks against Brunson and Vettori, two savage animals in that division. Savage animals, beasts, back to back in less than a month. Kevin Holland never has to earn anybody's respect again, right? I mean, it's obvious that, you lose the Brunson fight. You're clearly losing this fight. But, dude, this guy's got – they say it's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. That dog's got a lot of fight. I'm using as many dog references as I can today, Jeff, because of my man DMX. That's why I keep saying dog all the time.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I mean, this is especially Vettori now is really making sure he stays on top. He is landing some shots, but the output is not what it was in the first 3 rounds. And I just feel like he's like, you know what? Let's just maintain. Oh, he stood up.
I'm not letting this guy up.
Yeah, he's not letting him up. Holland's really active off the bottom, though. I'm going to give that. He's not settling for this. He's not just saying I'm gonna accept this position. He's shrimping. He's shifting his weight. He's going from side to side, working for reversals. Using the cage. He's doing a lot of stuff.
Man, those up kicks were close. I know you're a little ahead of me. Those up kicks have been close the whole fight, man. Those up kicks make me nervous. Remember when Jermaine Durandamy got a couple of them on Amanda too? I mean, you got to watch those things.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen several people knocked out from up kicks.
What's your favorite up kick knockout?
Anderson Silva, Yushin Okami from Rumble on the Rock 8, I think. It was Anderson's last loss before the UFC. Yushin took Anderson down, and Anderson just up kicked him square in the face and knocked him unconscious. He was disqualified for that, by the way. So that was Anderson's last loss before that great UFC run. That's mine. Only because it was so crazy. I was like, what the hell just happened? And we were all kind of confused. And then the rules were different. Like for some of those events in Hawaii, you were able to, kick a downed opponent. And so we kind of didn't realize whether Anderson just lost or won. Anderson felt like he won. There was kind of commotion. It was just a crazy moment, but that's my favorite.
Vittori landed some pretty good shots in round 4. Man, I'll tell you what, This is a good fight. I mean, for Kevin Holland to come in and put on a performance like this in the main event on network TV, this is what this sport's all about, man. You guys got to love this. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing to see. And it's not any easier. I love how, people say, and Masvidal says, hey, this time with a full camp, it's going to be different. Well, the other guy didn't have a full camp either. And even though he was supposed to fight, so he has a little bit, he wasn't supposed to fight you. You're training for Gilbert Burns, so different than training for Masvidal. You're training, right, Jeff, for Darren Till. At least they're both dynamic strikers, and there's a lot of similar movements there, so it might not have been as hard. But to train for someone else last minute like that, when you've completely had your whole camp on one fighter, is people don't understand how hard that. I've never done it, but I see it. It's so hard to do. And it really is.
Specifically game plan for their skill set. And then whenever that's taken away, and especially when you fight a guy who has a totally different skill set, it throws a monkey wrench into your whole mental game. You aren't prepared for that. You didn't prepare for this. It doesn't mean that you're not prepared for it, but you weren't specifically prepared for it. And right before Vettori scored this takedown, Kevin Holland hurt him with the right hand. Vettori's legs went.
Yeah, he did.
And he was able to get the take. I mean, Kevin is a gamer, man. I'm going to give that to him. What I'm taking away from this fight is that Brunson is just that good when it comes to grappling and wrestling, because I feel like this has been a really competitive fight. Vettori, yes, he's winning, and he is better than Kevin Holland, but not on the crazy level. Number 6 and number 10, this is about the way the fight should look. So I think that Kevin Holland's ranking is about right.
Yeah, and Kevin Holland, look, these last 2 fights, the grappling of Vittori, and he's got some power in the punches for sure, and then, of course, the absolute wrestling of Brunson, we've seen where he needs the work. We've seen where he needs to get better in order to become a championship fighter. He's got the chin. He's got the guts. He's got the heart. He's got the charisma. He's got the showmanship. He's got the striking. He's got a lot of talent, man. And he's 28 years old. He's got a ton of talent hitting his prime. And I think he's got a nice run in him. He's a guy who could eventually make a title run after taking his lumps, but he's got to work on that wrestling and grappling a lot. I mean, it's easy for me to say when you're in a division full of absolute savages at 185 pounds in the UFC. And I'm telling you right now, from what I'm seeing in this fight, and I like what Vittori's doing. And again, it's not easy to fight for him right now either, to fight Holland instead of Darren Till. But from what I've seen, number one, I don't know that he would have beat Dern Till. And number two, I don't know that I'm as high on him as I have been leading up to this fight. I don't see him as a potential champion as much as I did after the Hermanson fight. I see some holes in his game.
I mean, there's definitely holes in his game. I mean, for me with Vittori, it's he gets sloppy, and that's not an insult. What I mean by that is he takes too big of risks for this level of the sport, and he puts himself in danger. And that against an Izzy or like a Brunson, those people at the top of the division, that can really hurt you. He's better than Kevin Holland, and I agree, man. I mean, styles make fights. I don't know that he would have beat Dern Till, but he could probably employ this strategy against Dern Till as well. But whenever he gets to those top 3 or 4 guys, man, it's going to be harder and harder to employ this strategy.
10 out of 15 on takedowns for Vittori, but he has not been able to do damage from top position. He really hasn't. I mean, it's easy for me. Bader beat the crap out of Machida, for example, from top position last night. I'm amazed Machida survived that fight. Yeah. Yep. But Vittori, and again, you talked about he's been tired. He's throwing a lot of volume, but he's not at any point in time really on the ground in any of these rounds, just kind of postured up and said, hey, I'm letting him go and I'm finishing your ass right now. So clearly, that's something that's not top of mind for him. And Brunson, what a move by Brunson to get up. Damn. Brunson, Holland.
Yeah, Holland. Look, I was getting ready to say Holland is a lot more active on the bottom. Vittori can't give Holland much space or Holland explodes. He shrimps, and he's long and he rolls. He does good. He's active from the bottom. It just shows me that Vittori's, he's just not as dominant from the top.
And you can't side guard him either.
Yeah, I mean, every time he passes,
it's hard to side mount him.
Yeah, every time he passes Holland's guard, Holland gets back. And so he's stuck either working in full guard or half guard. And then Holland gets up and we play it all over again.
But here it is. I mean, we're I don't know where you're at. I'm 20 seconds left in the fight, and it's just been a dominating. I mean, this is a 50-45 fight. It's got to be. It's got.
I think it's a 50-45 fight because of the way. I mean, I don't remember the first round.
Did you see what Holland just tried to do? He tried to run at the fence real quick with Vittori's arms around him to push off the fence with his right arm and do a spinning kick. That's all you need to know about Kevin Holland right there with 15 seconds left in the fight. I love that.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I love that, man.
Yeah, Holland just needs to get, because he's got great skills and he's got great heart. He's got a good chin, and he's active from the, he's a fighter. And so he just needs takedown defense. He doesn't have to become Cain Velasquez or Brian Bader or Cejudo in wrestling to be successful at this. He's just got to have takedown defense, And now I know that's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. I'm getting taken down by the terrible wrestlers. But I'm not a professional fighter. Kevin Holland is, and that's the hole in his game. He doesn't have to be a great grappler. He just has to work on his takedown defense.
All right, Jeff Cain, Jim Grieshaber, MMA Weekly Live, powered by CBD Emporium, featuring Level Select CBD. UFC Vegas 23 on ABC TV. Here is Arnold Allen, victorious in the co-main event over Sadiq Youssef by unanimous decision. Very happy fighters, won in a row, the longest win streak in the featherweight division. Here is on MMA Weekly.
I've had an amazing camp over in Montreal. I've been training with the Muay Thai master himself, and without his help, this wouldn't be possible. So, what's his name? Master Peter, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the help. You're the man.
Number 1 Muay Thai in the world.
Number 1 Muay Thai. Thank you, Master Pierre.
And there's no pressure on you to say that. That's all from your own self.
That's from the heart. He blessed me to be here, so he's the best.
You've had a few minutes to digest the performance now. I see a big bag of ice, which we'll get to in a second. But how are you feeling about your performance?
I have to see it back. A bit of a scrappy performance. I think everything you expect when you have 2 upcoming prospects. We're both hungry. We're both there to win. It's never going to be easy. And I think it was an exciting fight. I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. But yeah.
Is this one of those ones where, because of the level you guys are at and you guys are going to get better and better, that you're probably going to see each other again in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a great guy. He's got a great team around him. I'm sure he's going to be back. He's going to be, he's young. He's hungry. I told him to keep his head up and keep pushing on. I think he'll be back.
So what's the story with the bag of ice?
I don't know if you saw, I just had a fight, and I punched a man in the head pretty hard, and then my hand's hurting.
But does it? Do you think it's broken, or is it just?
No, it's not broken. It just got a little boo-boo.
So with that in mind, do you have any idea sort of the timeline you'd like to get back in there, or you just want to get home and take a rest?
Yeah, I haven't been home in a while, but you know what? I want to fight. I want to fight again. You know, I'm getting old. I'm 27 years old now, so I'd like to fight again. And this will probably take a couple weeks, few weeks maybe. I'd like to get back in August or something. It's summer, you know.
Is the plan to still go home though and just take a bit of time to recuperate, or you want to stay out here and try and train a bit more?
I'm gonna go home and train and let my body recover. I'm gonna see my dog. I think he's on his deathbed. I haven't seen him in a long time. My dad keeps saying he's hanging on, so I think he's on the drip. He's just gone apparently. I've got till Monday morning, so hopefully he hangs on.
Jesus, that took a turn.
I think they stuffed him. Every time I video call, I think they're showing me a fake dog.
Cheers, man.
So if you could break down the game plan, what was it going in there for him, and how closely did it play out to what you thought it would be?
First and second round, like pretty much as we expected. He's very aggressive. He's going to come forward. He's going to try and rip my head off. And he did everything we thought. And as I expected, you know, we had faster feet, faster hands, and we caught him hard coming in. And yeah, I chased the finish twice in the first and second round. I think I paid for it a little bit in the third round. And I was expecting to be the fresher man in the later rounds, but I think he was a bit fresher where I, weirdly enough, like nearly knocked him out twice. And I think he was a little bit fresher from me trying to finish, so yeah.
Is that the main thing that surprised you? Is that it just seemed like, you know, his cardio and that he was maybe a little bit fresher, or is there anything else that surprised you out there?
Not really, no. Like, we studied him a lot. We watched his fights, and I've had a lot of experience myself. I'm 27 years old. This is my 18th pro fight, you know, and I've had like 40, 30 other fights, so, you know, I've had a lot of experience.
I think when people saw this one on paper and they saw both you guys coming in with impeccable records, you know, they were expecting great things from you too. Do you still think that his star is still going to be rising? And do you think that with a win like this helps to propel you upwards as well?
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I don't think this sets him back. Like I said, we're two young, hungry prospects. You know, we're both coming for the top. And, you know, it's everything you want in a co-main event. You've got two ripped young lads, you know, out to knock each other out. What more do you want?
When you look at the rest of 2021, what sort of goals are you setting for yourself within the division and maybe even just outside of fighting?
Yeah, I'd like to push forward. I don't know if this pushes me up because I think I was number 10. I don't know if this pushes me up the rankings or what. But yeah, definitely I want to go up. I don't want to stay at number 10. I don't want to fight backwards. I want to fight guys above me, you know. I mean, the end of 21, I'd like to be sitting in the top 5. So.
And even outside of, you know, not trying to call out guys, but looking at the top 10, who are some of those guys that you think would be perfect matchups for you, just in terms of your fight style and how they fight as well?
Yeah, someone like Korean Zombie, you know, I was always a big fan of him. So, I mean, accidentally I've studied him my whole life, and he's flat-footed. He doesn't move great. He doesn't deal with someone moving around him. And, you know, I move very well. But I know he just booked a fight, Dan Ige, so... Maybe the winner of that fight in the future, if they're above me in the rankings, that's something that would be cool. How do you celebrate the win? I'm going to Popeyes. I'm going over to Popeyes. I don't know if anyone's heard, but I'm going to Popeyes. I haven't had it yet.
You haven't had it?
I've never had it. Never had Popeyes.
So you're going for the chicken, or you're going for the chicken sandwich?
I might go for the lot. I might have it all. I'm going to be a different man after this.
Different weight class?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Congrats on the win.
Thank you, man.
The kick looked great tonight. If you could go back and execute, what would you do to get the finish? Because it looked like it was right there for you.
We got the right guy today.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, what was it? What was the question?
That kick that you landed on,
yeah.
Super Sadiq, it looked like you had him. He was on roller skates.
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe if I didn't slip, it would have been a bit better. It was a bit slippery out on the canvas. I slipped a couple of times, like trying to move. A couple of times I kicked, I slipped. I don't know if it was my feet were sweaty or the canvas was slippy. I heard people saying before that it was a bit slippery. So, yeah, it was a bit slipperier than usual. Maybe if I kept my balance, I would have been able to finish off there. But, you know, he's tough and he hung in well. I thought I'd get the finish, but, you know, he did a good job staying in there.
Is there you were firing on all cylinders, anything that he did that gave you problems that you're like, okay, I'm going to check this tape and work on this going forward?
I don't know. I have to watch it back, to be honest. I felt pretty comfortable. Third round, I felt confident that I had 2 rounds in the bank, and I took my foot off the gas a little bit too much, and I should have pressed forward. But yeah, I think he was a bit desperate and come out. He he needed to finish. So.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Thanks, man.
Arnold Allen.
Thank you, man. Popeyes.
Never been to Popeyes. Oh, he's in for a treat, man. A big win and then some Popeyes after that. Congrats to Arnold Allen, by the way. 8 in a row. I mentioned that. Alexander Volkanovski, the champion's at 7 in a row, and Zabit with 6 in a row. We got some sound issues going on there. You can hear the press room is lively with Arnold Allen in there, right? Let's let that die down for a second. There we go.
Lively.
The pale skinator says, "Nice job, Vittori. Lay on someone the whole time because you can't trade for more than 5 minutes with Holland. What a coward!" Wow, I forgot about that element of fight fan. You see coward there? I don't see coward. I see a guy who threw a ton of shots, a ton of punches, who won a fight 50-44 by unanimous decision.
I just tell people who don't like mixed martial arts not to watch mixed martial arts. If you like kickboxing, man, K1 has some great events. You like boxing, it's got some awesome events. But if you want to watch real fighting where we can use any weapon or mostly, then this is the sport for you to watch. There are no cowards in mixed martial arts. We can get that out there right now. there are no cowards. But look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Not all opinions are equal, though, Jim. That's the problem.
Yep, my dad used to say, everybody opinions are like a-holes. Everyone has one, and they all stink.
Yeah, well,
Vittori did dominate. That's a dominating.
Yeah, and he's the one that did the damage to Kevin Holland's eye. He had some success on the feet. It's just that I felt like he fatigued a little bit, and so his best course of action in those later rounds was to just keep doing what he was doing, taking down. I don't see any. I think Vettori had a good performance, to be honest with you. I think Kevin Holland had a good performance. I don't think that Kevin Holland hurt his stock tonight. The problem is I don't know how much Vettori raised his, if any. That's the hard question that we're going to have to answer.
How do you raise it? That's the thing. How do you? It's a tough thing to do to take a fight on short notice, even if you're the guy who's taking the fight. It's not like it's just Holland who's the risk there. He was a big favorite. He won the fight. The money came in for everyone. But when you look at the rankings, he's ranked number 6 right now, right? And you have a vote, Jeff. So let's get into this because we have a while, and you're watching MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC Fight Night Vegas 23, UFC on ABC TV 2, which is, of course, Marvin Vettori victorious over Kevin Holland, who stepped in for Dern Till last minute, literally last minute, not last minute, but you know what I'm saying. Fight week, literally. So the week before. Yeah. So when you look at what's happened with this fight and what's happened in this division and Vettori being numbered, it's not easy on him. I don't want to pick on him. I don't want to make it seem like he didn't do enough because he just beat a guy 50-44 and dominated a top 10 guy in the world on very short notice, which is difficult to do. But we're talking about the title picture, Jeff. We're talking about the best of the best in the entire world. And I don't see Vettori there right now. I did before this fight. I did. I'm not saying he can't get there, but much like Cyril Gahn at heavyweight when he won his last fight against Rosenstruik, dominating wins, but not enough to take that next step toward A, being a star, and B, being in that title picture more. I don't think Vettori, he called for it. He should have. He had to. It's what he needs to do when he's in that position. But I don't think Vettori deserves a rematch against Izzy right now. He thinks he does. The last fight was close. It was a while back. But you've got Whitaker fighting Gastelum, right? Paulo Costa's now obviously out. Robert Whitaker wins. He's got to be the guy. If Kelvin Gastelum wins, therein lies the question. And just to make it that much more interesting, guess which 2 guys are teammates? Kelvin Gastelum and Marvin Vettori. Think about that. It could come down to Kelvin beats Whitaker. Who gets the shot? 2 teammates. Who gets the shot?
Costa,
crazy, right?
What they would probably do. But look, Vettori, I thought looked fine tonight. And Vittori's going to pass Dern Till in the rankings, but that's it. He's not going to go past Brunson or Costa or Whitaker So he's going to move up one spot, basically because he got a win and he made it to the fight, and Darren Till didn't. And plus, I think Vittori's resume is better than Darren Till's anyway, and especially after tonight. But I don't think that Vettori does bad against Paulo. I don't think he does bad against Jared. It's whenever I talk about Whitaker and Izzy that I don't know what Marvin's going to do. Styles make fights, man. Vettori took that on short notice. Now, he was prepared for a fight, and he was prepared for a similar stylistic fight. And so he did what he was supposed to do. He went out there. He dominated Kevin Holland. I mean, I don't see that Kevin was – I mean, he landed some shots. Holland did. But Vettori was in complete control of that fight from the first round till the fifth round. And so I just don't know how much he raised his stock. I mean, I'm going to move him one spot ahead of Darren Till, right? And then we'll see what the UFC wants to do with Vettori, because they could throw him in there with Brunson, right, and eliminate one of the wrestlers.
I was going to say, you got right now, you got Costa, you got the loser of Whitaker and Gastelum, especially if it's Whitaker, you have Brunson, and you have possibly Darren Till. So those are some pretty good opponents. I think Vettori is going to have to beat one of those guys before he gets a title shot. And I think are we about to get somebody on the podium, or are we just looking at the podium? I think we're just looking at the podium. I got a little excited there.
Yeah, Vittori's got to go back and do the medicals, and he's got to give his sample. And so sometimes that's where the problem lies. I mean, I've been at fights where you fight a 5-round fight, and there's just not a lot of liquid in your body to be pissing in a cup. And so sometimes they have to feed you a bunch of water until you can do that. I mean, I've waited backstage for hour and a half before a particular fighter Martin Kampman, before he could rehydrate up to provide a urine sample. 5-round fights are grueling, man. Especially that you cut weight yesterday. There's not a lot of liquid left in that body. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it usually takes the main event guys a minute to get to the stage because they have to do the ESPN obligation. And then they have to go back to the medical people, have them checked out. They have to give the sample. And some of them like to shower, right? It just depends on who you are. Some of them like to shower and get dressed up. You'll see Usman do that, and Izzy and other guys. And then other guys just come right out, shirt off, gloves still on.
Who was it last summer? Last summer, we waited like an hour plus for someone. And I remember Conor Diaz, too, we waited forever for Conor McGregor in the media room. We waited forever for him. He came in on the crutch.
Yeah,
I think Conor does that on purpose, Diaz.
Right? Yeah, I think Conor and Diaz do that on purpose. It's the dramatic, late entry, and look, we aren't going anywhere until they come out, so they don't have to be in a hurry. I don't know about Vittori.
I remember my girlfriend at the time was at a club waiting for me. We had concert tickets we paid a lot of money for. I'm like, no, I'll be out of there way before like 12 o'clock, 12:30. The main acts don't even go on until like 1:30. I thought I had plenty of time. I ended up missing half the concert, and I got there at like 2 a.m., 2:15 because of that.
Yeah, so who knows how long that it's going to take. But he wasn't cut. Like Holland's got to get stitched up. He might even be transported to get stitched up. Vittori doesn't have to do that right now. He's just got to do the normal, light in the eyes and are you feeling okay kind of a deal. and then he goes back and showers.
Brett N7, Jeff says, bye Holland, see you in Bellator. I don't know what you're watching. This dude just went two beasts back to back in Brunson and Vittori, who are both top 5 fighters now. And I mean, dude, how did Kevin Holland's stock not go up? It went up as much as it could possibly go up with back-to-back losses. How about that?
Well, what people have to realize about Kevin Holland is this is about the 5th fight card he has saved in the last year. He has stepped up on short notice when the company has asked him to, over and over and over. This loss doesn't mean anything to his UFC contract. He has done the UFC a favor today.
Here we back. I don't know if we all drop, but we're going to get Marvin Vettori next on MMA Weekly live from Las Vegas. Our camera front and center at the Apex, a dominating 50-44 unanimous decision win for Marvin Vittori, the Italian rising star, going to be in the top 5 for sure, calling for a title fight against Israel Adesanya, the last style bender. Maybe, another fight on the way, though. You still got Brunson. You got Darren Till possibly coming back. You got the Whitaker and Gastelum fight. You got Paulo Costa sitting there. So it's a logjam at the top. So Vittori may not be going too far. But himself. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. It's MMA Weekly's live coverage of UFC on ABC2, UFC Vegas 23. I'm Jim Grieshaber. My partner, Jeff Cain. We'll hope to get him back here in a minute. And we are powered by CBD Emporium featuring Level Select CBD. CBD Emporium and Level Select CBD are offering you 50% off their amazing CBD products right now. Why? Because you know us and we love you. It's MMA Weekly's special deal for you. 50% off right now at stayinthefightmma.com. 50% off. And we're talking items that are 100 plus here. Many of them over $50, many of them over 100. You get 50% off. Or in layman's terms, buy one, get one, right? Why not get another one if you're getting 50% off? All you have to do is go to stayinthefightmma.com and enter the code MMA50. And I have my hands like this, like I'm praying, because I know the benefits that you're going to get. Pain relief, anxiety, stress, insomnia, like me, my whole entire life, insomniac. Unbelievable what these products are doing for me, and they can do them for you too. CBD Emporium, Level Select CBD. Stay in the fight, MMA.com. The code is MMA50. Jeff Cain, and this was a great fight night. Mackenzie Dern probably gets performance of the night in my mind. Vittori was good. I'm going to go. Arnold Allen was great. Mackenzie Dern was terrific. Rodriguez, the whole entire fight card, Jeff. I mean, who do you give? Because when you look at what Solecki did, Solecki was really good. Daniel Rodriguez, Mackenzie Dern, Marquez was fantastic against Sam Alvey. Arnold Allen, Marvin Vittori. Some of the top fighters on this card tonight really showed up big time and put on great performances.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mackenzie Dern being ranked number 11th and dominating the number 5th ranked fighter, she gets my nod for a bonus for sure, and she finished it. I don't know. I'll have to look at the other ones, what they're going to do. I thought the main event was the fight of the night. That was back and forth, and while, yes, Vittori dominated it, it was exciting because Holland was moving on the bottom. He was able to get back to his feet repeatedly. He just couldn't keep Vittori off of him in that pressure. But yeah, I thought this was a good fight card, man. I mean, from top to bottom, I enjoyed today's fights. There were some entertaining fights, some meaningful fights, some shuffling up a little bit in the rankings, and some guys making names for themselves. Arnold's a guy that some people are going to know. Arnold now has some more fans than he did before. Yep.
8 in a row, and he's going to Popeyes. He's going to Popeyes for the first time, more importantly. That's a big experience for him coming from overseas. I mean, look, I've had English, British, whatever you want to call them, chicken and waffles, man. They do not compare to the fried chicken that we have here from Popeyes in the US of A. So I'm waiting for that. But I also want to go through some of the chat room, Jeff. We got a bunch of people waiting for Marvin Vittori. Paul Rhodes says Holland just needs to take a little time off and work on a few things. He also just needs to be himself, loose, fluid, but not joking so much, and realize he has a chance to be great. Paul Rhodes, that is awesome. Good job right there. So that's a good one. And then we have Fabian Padilla. On the feet, Holland is a problem. He should train takedown defense with Ngannou or something. Ngannou's takedown defense won him that fight against Stipe. Izzy's takedown defense has been incredible. Blachowicz, had troubles taking him down early, and that guy's a beast, a weight class higher. Let's see. JC Mata, Holland has saved the UFC millions of dollars. This was a big day for UFC on ABC. Jeff said that. You're right. E. Bates, UFC has a problem. Ground and pound without results is a very boring view. That's not really a problem. It's been there forever. People complain about it all the time. But look at the overall scope of the fight card. It's not a problem, dude. Jeff said it earlier. It's called mixed martial arts, okay? It's called mixed martial arts. Everything goes. I understand what you're saying. Everybody wants action and knockouts and all crazy stuff all night long. Doesn't always happen that way. You have to learn to really appreciate the arts and the skills that go into them, the moves, the counter moves, the chess match. You got to appreciate all that stuff on a fight like this one. You really do. Because I understand if you're just looking to see dudes throwing fists and elbows and knees and feet and knocking people out, yeah, that's what you want to see. But you have to appreciate the technical side. That's why, so many people love boxing for so many years, the sweet science. Well, MMA has all these different disciplines and elements in martial arts within one sport to appreciate the science of. And then the combination of all of them is the real appreciation, because you got the chef stirring the pot with all these different ingredients, and it's pretty badass. So that's my take on it. Let's see. Holland has saved a lot of shows for the UFC. He's not going anywhere. Holland needs to stop trying to make these viral meme moments like talking during the fight and stealing Vittori's bread because it's not helping him win. He was not even funny enough to talk. That's from Brett N7. What do you think of the comments, Jeff? Some good ones.
Look, I think Holland has done. Yeah, Holland's done the UFC a lot of favors, and he's performed. Outside of the Brunson fight, and maybe they moved him up too quick. Maybe that was too big of a moment for him. I don't know. I'm not going to make excuses for him. He's a professional fighter, but he looked a lot better tonight in defeat than he did in his last outing, and he saved a lot of shows. And not only did he save a lot of shows, last year he was fighter of the year candidate, knockout of the year a candidate. And so it's not like he hasn't performed, but you can't do that every time. You can't do that every time. So while you like for Barry Bonds to hit the home runs, you also have to appreciate the pitcher that throws a no-hitter in a perfect game. I don't subscribe to boring
or the defensive struggle, man. What about like the old school football NFL games in the 80s when the Bears would play at Soldier Field and it'd be like 17-3 because of the wind and the cold? And sometimes you just have to appreciate difference. There's some good stuff coming in on the chat, Jeff. Let's keep this going. This is the best Holland we've seen. Cody Kamara. Yeah, I agree with you there. Right. I mean, he's been fantastic, but he's getting better and better, and he's facing top-level guys. Should Holland go down a weight class? Oh, and remember what I told you guys a couple of weeks ago about Luque. No, refresh our memory, if you would, Jackmata, about the Luque thing. But Holland down a weight class? I don't think so, man. I think he's good where he is. What do you think, Jeff?
I mean, he mentioned that. I believe he mentioned that. I think he'll have a lot of trouble going down in weight because he's so tall and lanky anyway. I don't know how much weight there is to cut off that frame. I'm not saying he couldn't do it. I just question how effective he would look at that weight. I like him where he is.
He's been a welterweight. He's been a welterweight in the past, but you grow out of it. I mean, look at a picture of Shaq his rookie year and Shaq late in his career. Usually guys go up in weight. You don't see the Frankie Edgars. You know what I mean? It's your body changes, your head's bigger, your shoulders are broader. The more you mature in age, your body changes, and you just naturally get heavier until you get old, and then you start shrinking away. But he's lost 2 in a row. Let's see. The last time he fought at welterweight was way back in June of 2017 on LFA against Curtis Millender, and he lost that unanimous decision. He fought 3 welterweight fights before that, 1 at Legacy and 2 at King of the Cage. But he hasn't fought at welterweight in a long damn time.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to change weight classes. Kevin Holland has a couple of holes. They're not huge holes. They're really not. I mean, when you look at his total skill set, he's got reach, he's got length, he's an accurate striker, he's got good kicks, he's got good speed, he's game, he's got a good chin. The where he lacks is the takedown defense, and then the wrestling ability. But today he got up multiple times. And so the improvements that he needs to make, in my opinion, to compete against the top guys in the world aren't that big. Now, having said that, they might take a little while to fix. That's usually the hardest thing to fix is whenever you get to the wrestling. But we just saw Francis Ngannou do the same thing, right? We all talked about his takedown defense. Well, what did he do? He went to a camp that specializes almost in wrestling, and he got out of his
that
element.
one takedown. That's where he won that fight compared to the first one. That's how he won the fight.
Yeah, that's all Kevin has to do.
He stopped the takedown in round 1 from Stipe.
Yeah, he just needs to find a camp or a wrestling coach that's going to work with him on defense and getting the underhook, the whizzer out, constantly and being aware of the legs while you're in the clinch, and he'll be fine. I mean, he's not an old guy, and he's done the UFC a favor. I don't feel like he drops out of the top 15, and I feel like his next outing he'll probably get a guy who's maybe not ranked because the UFC owes him that, right? I mean, you keep throwing him in there last minute against these really highly ranked guys. Well, now let's get Kevin Holland somebody that he should be.
I don't think he drops. I don't think he drops. I mean, does Chris Weidman pass him here?
Nope.
The Hall fight's coming up, obviously. Hall's 9, Weidman's 11. They're sandwiched around him. They fight soon. KG's number 8. If he loses, he'll probably drop a little bit behind. Hermanson has another big fight coming up at the Houston pay-per-view. He's at 7. Vittori at 6, probably move up a spot or 2. I don't see him jumping Brunson. Brunson's win over Holland was more dominant than Vittori, so I don't see why he would jump Brunson there. Darren Till, someone in the chat asked if Jeff, someone in the chat asked if if we thought Darren Till would have done better. I don't think. Yeah, Brett N7. Do you think Till would have done better than Holland? I say no.
No, I think that Till and Holland's skill set are about the same. I think that Holland, I'd have to look at it. I feel like Holland has a better reach advantage. Now, Till might be a little faster and maybe even have more punching power. You know, I mean, Till does knock people out. But I feel like that's the same matchup. Vittori would have taken Till down and done that to him, except Till might have given up a submission or something. I don't think Till would have done any better. That's my opinion, no. But we'll see.
No, and you know what, Jeff? I don't think so either. But I also remember Holland, and the reason I say that, Holland had 3 or 4 exchanges in this fight where he had Vittori rocked. I mean, in a circumstance here, a circumstance there, a move here, a move there, could have had a way different finish. Vittori was rocked a couple of times. And also, someone just said it. Where is it? Dun, 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 dun. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Someone just asked about the eye. And yes, whatever you typed about the eye. Yeah. Oh, Paul Rhodes. I think once the eye was cut, that also had a big impact. Seemed like it was bothering Holland a lot. He couldn't see peripherally out of it. Was actually this eye. He couldn't see peripherally out of it. And he couldn't see off to, to be able to do those things, to defend the punches and things from out here. And at least 2 of the takedowns that I saw after the eye, he came in from that side with a punch where he couldn't see it with the eye and then dropped right down into a takedown. So, yeah, of course, that had a big effect on the fight. But it was caused Vittori,
Yeah, but what I was saying is the eye got damaged because the right hand was landing before the eye got damaged. And so, yes, I think that the eye definitely, whenever you have a cut like that above your eye and the swelling, it's going to affect your vision. But I felt like Holland, whenever he got up and separated, he went for broke every time. He started throwing combinations, kicks to the body, tried to get it out of there. Then Vittori would close the distance and put him back against the cage. But I don't feel like Holland changed his game plan because of the eye. I don't think that affected the way he approached the fight. He just, yes, it affected the way he could defend himself. But as far as the way that he fought Vittori, it was pretty much the same the whole fight. He just wasn't able to connect with that big shot, put him down.
Yeah, and obviously people are thinking Till would have done better because it's a 50-44 scorecard, which is really, obviously a dominating win. So I understand that too. But at the same time, man, if I'm Darren Till and I watched that, I'm going, man, I would have beat that dude. I'm actually really pissed off right now because I'm feeling like I would have beat that dude if I'm Darren Till. And I know that's how he's feeling. Of course, that's how he's feeling right now.
Yeah. Yeah, Till might be a bad example because he feels that way against everybody. He's probably looking at Francis Ngannou thinking I can beat that guy because that's just who Darren Till is, But yeah, I agree. If Darren Till watched that fight, I think a lot of people who watched Brunson dominate Kevin Holland and then saw Vittori definitely beat him, definitely control him for all 5 rounds and clearly win. He had a hell of a lot more trouble than Brunson did. And so I feel like, people, and Till included, are looking at it saying, Vittori might not be that prospect that everybody's saying that he is. He's a solid guy in the top 10, but is he that guy to take out Izzy? Is he that guy to send Robert Whittaker out of the top 5? I don't see that. But styles make fights, Jim. Vittori's not going to approach Robert Whittaker or Brunson the way that he just approached Kevin Holland. He's just not going to. He'll approach Darren Till the same way.
He doesn't want any grappling with Brunson. He doesn't want any ground game with Brunson whatsoever, from what I've seen.
So
nobody does in that division.
Have better striking than Brunson? Yes, I think he does. And so it comes down to those clinches. Can Brunson get Vittori down? If he can't, Brunson's going to have problems. And so there's some interesting matchups. I'm not like I didn't think Vittori's lost a lot of stock. He did what he needed to do. He won convincingly. Styles do make fights, but
he didn't lose any.
Yeah, he didn't look great. I mean, I get what people are saying. Like, he didn't finish him. He didn't blow him out of the water. He didn't pound him into oblivion in the octagon. But he did win convincingly, and that's all he needed to do right here. Because the top of the division's kind of log-jammed anyway. He just kind of needed to maintain, let the top of that division play itself out. He's going to move up by default, and then he's going to have to beat one of those guys. and then he's in a title
But he
fight.
didn't do enough to get a title shot, Jeff, and that's not his
No,
fault.
not now.
He hasn't done enough to get a title shot. I wouldn't have given him a title, to be fair, and just to make sure you guys know where I am on this. It isn't because it's just Holland. Circumstances happen, people drop. I would not have given him a title shot off of a win over Darren Till either. And again, that's not because he wouldn't deserve it. I've seen fighters get title shots off of a lot less than that, right? Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
I've seen so many fighters get title shots off of less than what Vittori's done. But, okay, it depends on who's ahead of you and what the action looks like. When you got Cannonier and you got Brunson and you got Costa and you have the people ahead of you in the rankings who you didn't do enough, in my opinion, and in most people's opinions, I'm sure, to pass over, right? You got to wait sometimes.
Well, yeah, the top, he wasn't going to get a title fight in his next fight, no matter what happened today. No matter if it was Darren Till or Kevin Holland, not in my opinion. But I still think he's one fight away. You know, I think that the top of that division, once it plays out through the summer, that Vettori, depending on who his next outing is, a win over Brunson or a win over, somebody in the top 5 could get him a title shot in his next time. But I think he needs one more win. I really do. That's my opinion. And maybe he needs to prove a little something more. But Vettori is a viable star because he has a nation behind him. He's European. And look, he's a much bigger star there than we realize. I'll say that. Like you mentioned, he's got his own clothing line. What fighter has their own clothing line? Just name one. Name one who has their own clothing line. And I'm not talking. Yeah, and I'm not talking about Venom. That's not your. Yeah, that's not your own clothing. Exactly. And so that's how big he is in Italy. He's got his own damn clothing line. And so I don't know how far up he can go on that. I mean, if the UFC is going to do an event in Rome, you're going to have to give Vettori a big fight, right? And so there's a lot of things that's going to come in there. But Vettori didn't earn a title fight tonight. He can't live off almost beating Izzy for this long. Now he has to beat somebody to warrant getting back in there.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. The Izzy he almost beat was not Izzy. It's 3 years ago, man. That there's so much happens in 3 years. Izzy has always been great, of course, but think about this, guys. How much better is Israel Adesanya? How much better are you now at your job than you were 3 years ago right now? I mean, if you're not, you got a problem. He's so much better. He's so much better than he was. And Vittori is too. But you don't deserve a title shot against a guy who goes on to become champ because you had a close fight against him when you were both on your way up. I mean, I understand if there's no one left and you keep working your way up, but that doesn't get you the fight over Robert Whittaker, who's a great champion and who deserves it emphatically. I mean, he had some success against Izzy in that fight too. Got knocked out early in the second round. Whittaker, obviously with a win, is clearly the guy. Clearly. And it would have been the same had he beaten Costa. Now, where it gets dicey is if Kelvin Gastelum wins, and he's more than capable. He's still one of the top guys in the world. So KG's at 8. He beats Rob Whittaker next week. Who gets the shot at Izzy?
They might do that rematch with
Vittori
Costa.
or Kelvin, and their teammates. Their teammates,
well, I mean,
man.
You also had Costa. Yeah, they could do Costa. They could run back the Costa fight. I think that would come down to when the fight's going to take place, where it's going to take place, and what the UFC is wanting to do. Because you could give it to any of them. You could give it to Kelvin. If Kelvin beats him, you could give it to Kelvin. You could give it to Costa. But those are that's it. It's got to be those two. Right now, Robert Whittaker's the number one contender, clearly. I want to see that rematch. That's the rematch I want to see. I feel like Whittaker got a little overzealous in their first fight. Yeah, and I feel like Robert
Whittaker, let Izzy get in his head.
I feel like in a rematch he's going to fight Izzy a lot more methodical, and it's going to be a different fight. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but I think it's going to be a different fight. But Kelvin, man,
they're not going to do it. But I'd rather see that anywhere but Vegas. I don't want to. I mean, anywhere but Australia. I don't want to see that fight in Australia again. I want to see it in Vegas or New York or something. What do you think? And I think that's just because I want to see Whittaker without and Izzy. I don't want them to have to feel that pressure. I love the environment and all that, but I also want the fight in the States. I just think that in his home stadium with Izzy talking the way he was talking, the circumstances, and it won't happen again, but the circumstances just got to Whittaker. there a little
Yeah,
bit, just
look,
a little bit. You're right. He came out a little faster, a little more aggressive, and he got rocked with that counter at the end of round 1, which ended the fight. Even though the fight went into round 2, the counter at the end of round 1 that dropped him was pretty much that's what sealed the deal.
Yeah, and that could be a fight that they do in Abu Dhabi as well because of Izzy. And yeah, look, I know that they like different fight. You know, they love Khabib there, but the first fight in Abu Dhabi that they demanded and wanted was Anderson Silva, right? That they wanted, and then it was such a terrible fight. Dana lost his mind. It's a great moment in MMA history, actually, because I like that Anderson was like, "I'll fight my fights. You run the organization,
Which one?
and I'll fight whoever."
Which fight was that? I forget.
The Travis Luter, wasn't it? It was. I have to look it up. God. It was Anderson. It was Anderson just sat there, and it might not have been Luter. I'll have to look it up.
Tell the story. Tell the story. So people, that's a good story.
Yeah, Anderson just.
It's not a long story, but
Anderson just sat there and let and did nothing, you know, and landed jabs and did nothing, and said that he didn't deserve to be in there with him, and it made Dana, the fight promotion, mad. It made the whole country of Abu Dhabi mad, and honestly, it made most people who bought the pay-per-view mad. And then at the post-fight press conference, you know, Dana wasn't happy, and Anderson basically responded by saying, I'm the champion. I'll fight the way I want to fight, and you do your job, and I'll do my job. And I was like, hell yeah, finally a fighter says what needed to be said. You know, quit telling a professional fighter, the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, how to fucking fight. You know, that's just so ridiculous. But so it caused a bunch of controversy at the time. But I could see how Abu Dhabi would demand or want to see Izzy to headline an event there because it would sell like crazy, and Khabib's not coming back anymore. And I'm finally scrolling down here. Actually, it was the Demian Maia. I think it was the Demian Maia fight.
Abu Dhabi, the Fight Island, Jeff, Izzy was on Fight Island against Costa.
Yeah, but that fight was ended real quick. Yeah, I mean, I could say that's what I'm saying is that I could see them doing Izzy in that fight in Abu Dhabi and not in Vegas or in Australia. And it was actually the Demian Maia fight that they in 2010 UFC 112 where Anderson just did nothing. Right? He just did absolutely nothing, and everybody went crazy. But
don't let 2010 Demian Maia get his hands on you. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, Anderson just toyed with him the whole fight, and it was frustrating to watch. But at the end of the day, why would Anderson engage Demian Maia? He didn't feel like Maia deserved to be in there with him. I mean, Anderson talked at length about it. I don't feel like he deserves to even be in here with me, so I'm just going to jab him like 6 or 7 times, a leg kick here, and just stand here. You know, I'm going to win by points because this guy can't get close to me, and that's what he did. And a lot of people didn't like that. But Anderson, look, like I said, I'm not a big fan of anyone outside of their coaches trying to tell professional fighters how to fight. You know, because I can tell you what promoters don't like is when you try to tell them how to promote. So I kind of felt like that was the first time a fighter who was on the UFC roster pushed back.
Probably one of the only ones that could have ever done it and gotten away with it at that point in time, especially with Dana.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot of people that can push back. Connor, you know,
I mean,
Khabib now,
Tito,
Ronda.
of course, always. Tito always did.
Tito pushed back against himself. You know, I think in a lot of ways, Tito might have gotten his own way there a little bit.
But I still feel like Tito got the most out of his talent. I really do. Like the money he made, the fights he fought. Tito Ortiz got the most out of everything he had. I never thought he was a great fighter. And for him to do what he did in his career, you know,
he was smart. I take that with a grain of salt. He was a good marketing. He was a good self-promoter. Because I don't know, I retract that.
The blonde hair, the Huntington Beach bad boy, the two-sided
the
flag.
flame on the shorts. Yeah, the grave digger, the flame on the shorts. And then he was smart about his opponents, right? I'm going to beat up the Lion's Den. You know, I'm going to beat up a couple of middleweights. And then I'm going to avoid the big fights at light heavyweight, you know, until I can't. You know, and so he was smart about that. And look, honestly, UFC 40, when Tito fought Ken Shamrock, was the biggest UFC event to that date. That was huge.
Yep.
Now everybody was talking about it, and Tito looked great. I mean, he beat
that was the one where a lot of my friends who weren't fight fans yet, they started coming to me and being like, "Dude, man, we want to watch this one." You know, it was right around that time.
And then what's the next big event? Like that was the biggest event in UFC history. The next biggest event in UFC history was UFC 47. Tito and Chuck won. Yeah, and so Tito was involved in the biggest fights in the promotion's history at the time, and then bigger stars came along. When the Ultimate Fighter happened.
Yep, he was at the top of the sport, fame-wise, with Chuck, when the UFC hit that first level of super sport. How do I say it? When the UFC hit that first level of becoming a legit, not mainstream sport yet, but when the UFC really started to grow. I mean, you started seeing like Chuck Liddell doing cameos on Entourage, Tito Ortiz on TV. These guys started getting late night TV bookings that you hadn't seen in the past from UFC fighters. You started seeing a lot, especially Chuck with the mohawk and Tito with the blonde hair. They had the hair, they had the style, they hated each other. Dana hadn't become that multimedia superstar yet that he was working on becoming. It was an interesting time in UFC history, but those guys took it pretty far, man.
Yeah. Well, but people forget
right?
that
right around the same. Yeah, and then it was Brock, and then it was Ronda, and then it was Conor.
Yeah, I mean, people forget that before Dana White became the president of the UFC and before Zuffa bought the UFC, that Dana White was the manager of Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, both.
Both of them.
Yeah, both of them. And and Tito and Chuck were friends back then, trained together, and then they had a falling out.
The funniest thing is, though, the funniest thing I've ever seen about that you didn't know back then as well as you do now is that Tito and Chuck were friends and training partners for a long time, and that everybody knew that if Tito fought Chuck, Chuck would kick his ass because he did it every time they trained, and Tito knew that he had no chance basically against Chuck. And he knew that, and he avoided. I mean, he knew that. I mean, let's be real. Yeah. He knew that, and he waited as long as. But he got the most out of his abilities and everything he could do. He got the most out of it, man. You're right. He did. Well, he was smart in his own way.
Yeah, I always said, looking back on it, that Tito Ortiz wouldn't have been Tito Ortiz if it wasn't for Chuck Liddell. Because while Tito Ortiz was fighting middleweights at Guy Mesger and owed people like Ken Shamrock, Chuck Liddell was over here knocking out, or not knocking out, but beating Vittori, knocking out Randleman, taking out the real contenders.
Yeah.
So Tito could stay up there on that pedestal.
So think about this, though. Think about this, okay? Where would Chuck Liddell be without Tito? Because of the mouth. And the talk. Chuck couldn't do that. Tito's mouth really kept that thing going.
Chuck was not a star until UFC 47, and I know this personally because I was there. The day before UFC 47, Chuck was jogging through, cutting weight in the Mandalay Bay. Not one person stopped him for a picture or an autograph. The very next night, we couldn't make it through the fucking casino floor to get out of the building. It took us 3 hours to get to the casino floor to get out of the building to his after party because it was mobbed by everybody. And so he really and truly, in one night, went from that guy with the mohawk to the biggest star in mixed martial arts. And I think Chuck had some issues dealing with that early on, right? It's just weird to go from the guy in the shadows.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, but yeah, those were the biggest fights, and Tito was a big part of that. Tito built Chuck, in a way. Chuck was kind of the enforcer and cleared everybody out of Tito's way, so Tito could be the champion and all that, in a way. And then when it came time for them to fight, Chuck took Tito's popularity and ran with it. And then when he knocked out Randy in their rematch, it just went even bigger, right? Then you're seeing Chuck everywhere. I mean, he's literally everywhere until Rampage decided, hey, let me introduce you to this left hand, and that was the end of that. But yeah, and then after that, I'm trying to think. After that, you have Lesnar and Ronda, and then McGregor. But if you look at MMA as eras, there was an era that began. Yeah, the beginning era was Hoist, right? And then there was this kind of fiddle along. There's all these guys, but no real huge stars. And then Tito comes along. And Ken Shamrock, and then it's the Chuck Liddell era, and then it's Brock Lesnar and John Jones and Ronda, and then now we're at the sort of the tail end of the Conor era, entering into the Izzy era, right? In a way, but I don't know if Izzy's going to have an era.
Izzy.
Yeah, I don't know if Izzy's going to have an era.
And Jones had 3 mini eras, but all his troubles.
Yeah, and Khabib's era.
Man, I hope that fight
so
happens.
Weird.
I mean, we knew that was going to happen, right? We haven't done a show since all this shit happened, Jeff. How predictable was the whole John Jones Dana White thing after the Ngannou-Stipe fight? We knew that was going to happen. Oh, here we go. We have a fighter at the podium. It is the winner of the main event, the last one of the night, Marvin Vettori, number 6 at middleweight on MMA Weekly.
I know you haven't had a chance to go back and review it and watch it, but I gotta ask, like immediately after, you looked like you were a little bit frustrated, even though it was such a dominant victory. So, what are your initial thoughts on the fight?
I'm like this, you know, like I expect perfection. I expect me going out and breaking the guy, and sometimes I feel a little bit short of my expectation, but that short is still like a great performance, you know, like a very dominant performance. And yeah, I mean, you know, going in, the game plan was, you know, we knew like he's really wild, and he either really like away or he either jumps in, and that gets him to smother himself a lot and close the distance and end up in the clinch. And I was like, man, like, you know, if it does do that, then there's not much of a point for me to get off the clinch and risk like short elbows, and because he throws those kind of things when I have such an advantage in the wrestling. So that would happen really, you know, I was going out, I was feeling comfortable standing there, and then he just throwing himself in, and he's just there. And that kind of like, you know, it's like this, if you want to smother yourself and you throw yourself at me, I'm gonna wrestle because I have good wrestling, you know, and I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to win, and I'm here to, you know, I'm the most versatile fighter, I can do everything, so you give it to me, I'll take it.
Yeah. You know, obviously there were a lot of questions surrounding him after his last performance, but I mean, he was all business in there. I didn't hear him talking to you a little bit in there, but I mean, he was serious, he was aggressive, he was throwing. Was he what you expected, or did he surprise you?
Yeah, no, I knew he was, you know what, like I was a little bit, I did not expect him to be that solid. I thought he would fade out, and I knew I had him kind of hurt between second and third. He took it like he was staying on the stool a little bit, like even at the doctor, he kind of said, like the doctor kept asking him, can you see me? Like, yeah, I can see, but he wasn't too sure of it. But then he kept going, and he kind of regarded himself. He definitely had more sense of urgency. He learned that from his last fight. He wasn't fucking around that much, and you know, I think going into the Brunson fight, he kind of thought, oh, I'm gonna gas him out by just, you know, he's gonna gas out, and then I'm gonna take my turn. This time he realized, you know, if I don't have sense of urgency, these guys are just gonna go 5 rounds taking me down. So I think going into this fight, he felt more urgency when he was getting taken down, and he was more active. But man, I'm a beast in the ground too, and I mean, on my corner there's a Hall of Famer jiu-jitsu practitioner. I have to, you know, I have to show up and do great just because he's in my corner almost, you know. Thank you, Humble, for being here, and in general, you know, all the coaches here. So yeah, I kind of feel like I could have, you know, I wanted to show more of my striking, but at the end of the day, that's the thing about me, I'm versatile and I can do it all. So you give it to me, I'll take it.
Yeah. I know you're such a perfectionist and you're hard on yourself, but do you take more satisfaction that, I mean, that was a guy that showed up serious, clearly, you know what I mean? Like you said, there was no playing around in there and you dominated. Does that make you feel a little more satisfaction?
Yeah, you know, I want to go back and watch the fights. I want to see how he played out and why things went some kind of way more than others. But yeah, man, I mean, for sure. I mean, he was game today. He was more game. He wasn't fucking around. There wasn't much talking. I knew everybody. I said it before. Like, oh, are you worried about him talking? I said there won't be much talking in our fight. And he just started talking in the 5th, and that's when I realized he's talking because he knows he's losing. And so, you know, whenever somebody approaches the fight some kind of way, and then there is a switch in him, something's wrong for the guy. You realize something's going wrong for the guy. So, yeah, you know, he was way more game than his last fight, and it's good. At the end of the day, 50-44, you know, it's as dominant as he can be.
Yeah. Last thing for me, you know what's going to be the talk is who deserves, you know, the title shot next and all that. And there's a big middleweight fight next week. You know, Costa's out there still wanting a rematch. I'm sure Till will say something when he's healthy. But I guess while you've got the chance, we make the case. Why is it you that deserves to be the next in line for the title?
5 wins straight, accepting anybody at any time, always showing up, always making weight, never complaining about nothing, and I just show up and I just beat these guys very dominantly. Like I leave no doubt. The last fight that I had with Adesanya was the closest fight that he's ever had, and on my eyes, he still won it. And that fight has to be made again. I don't think Robert Whittaker is that hungry. And next week, like I said, I want Dana to give me a ticket and for me to sit next to him to watch the fight. And that fight will say a lot, but regardless, I think I'm next in line, and I deserve it. I was supposed to fight Dern Till didn't show up. Now he's out. I'm the most hungry by any mean, and I'm next, man. I'm next. Nobody has the winning streak that I have. All my opponents have been solid, and I'm next.
When would you like to fight Israel?
October.
Any preference?
Or September, this fall, Yeah.
Is that with the world opening up with crowds and stuff like that? Is there any place in particular you'd like to fight him, or
Italy, bro. If that could ever happen in Italy, that'd be a dream come true. Absolutely insane. The first ever Italian to bring the UFC to Italy, fighting for the title. That's out of. It's insane if that could come to fruition.
With Kevin tonight, obviously your grappling ability was markedly better than his, but were you surprised that on the commentary they're saying he was missing some of the basics, he wasn't trying to separate the hands and stuff like that? Were you surprised, or was that your own strength?
No, because I knew he's not, he thinks strikes more than technique in there. He thinks to just create openings to strike, to cut you, to get you clean with shots. He doesn't, he had way more sense of urgency, but, if you don't know things, you cannot just learn it overnight. His game is not really, scrambling to get back up, not too much. He's just, he stays there looking for big shots. He tried to flex you out, so maybe you posture up and then boom, he catches you with some big, So now I wasn't, I was kind of expecting that. Like I said, he came more game than what I thought, but I'm game all the fucking time, so no problem.
Do you think because he fights so frequently, do you think it would actually be better for him to stop, take some time and try and learn before just taking fights?
I don't know, bro. He needs to know that. But yeah, 2 losses, he has to address that and make some adjustments if I was him. But he's a wild guy, so I don't know.
Last thing for me, you said you want to sit next to Dana to watch the fight next weekend. What exactly are you hoping to see, or are you trying to do with sitting next to Dana?
That fight, I want to tell him I'm next in line first, and that's a very important fight in the middle of the division, and so, I want to say, Dana, look, I'm here, I'm next, and obviously it's going to be good, and plus Kelvin is my teammate, I want to see that too.
Anything
else? Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Marvin Vettori. Victorious in the main event, number 6, surely moving up Jeff Cain, whether it's a spot, 2 spots, 3 spots. Does he get a title shot? He thinks he should. Clearly he wants one. But, there's a lot of guys in front of him in a stacked division, man. That division in the top 5 is as good as you're going to get. And, we're wrapping it up here on MMA Weekly, UFC Fight Night Live. Jim Grieshaber, Jeff Cain. If we could get our guys in Vegas to turn that sound off, the background noise, if we could do that real quick, that would be great. It gets a little loud in there. The media boisterous today, Jeff Cain, because of the early start time. Everybody's getting out of there in about 10 minutes. It's 4 o'clock in Vegas on a Saturday. And normally on a night when you might be working till midnight, you're getting out of there now. Your final thoughts: Vittori the win, Arnold Allen, Julian Marquez, Mackenzie Dern, Daniel Rodriguez. A great fight night. Next week we have another one with Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whittaker before the Masvidal-Usman rematch in 2 weeks, Jeff. Nope, Jeff's muted, guys.
I did that to myself, Jim. I did that to myself. No, I think that Mackenzie Dern looked great tonight. The big question in that division is what happens with Tatiana Suarez, who's undefeated, has some big wins, but she's dealing with a neck injury and hadn't fought in 2 years. But when she does fight, she's jumping right back into the top 5. I felt like Arnold Allen looked great. Vettori did what he needed to do. All in all, great night of fights, Jim.
I really enjoyed it. I always enjoy working with you. Very excited. Monday morning, Jeff Cain, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. It is UFC Fallout. We start talking about all the stuff that's coming up, the fallout from this card transitioning into next week. Wednesday, we have our preview show for Whittaker and Gastelum, and then, of course, we'll be live for that one. And we'll be live, really, for Jake Paul and Ben Askren. So we got Jake Paul and Ben Askren. We got Kelvin Gastelum. We got Robert Whitaker. Next Saturday is going to be a fun night, Jeff.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy. It's going to be crazy. We'll be definitely focused more on the UFC, but we're going to tell you what's going on in the Jake Paul and Ben Askren fight because, look, everybody wants to know, right? It's a terrible sideshow, but we all want to know. Yeah.
Yo, Mike Perry lost. Mike Perry got UD'd by Daniel Rodriguez. Tom Joe, no Holland in the press conference. Yep, there it is. All right, that's it from the chat. Thank you guys so much in the chat. You guys killed it. I appreciate everybody on our MMA Weekly team. Our whole entire crew is phenomenal. Check out what Jake Hatton's been doing all day on Instagram. We got the Facebook. We got the Twitter. Everything here on YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, every single thing. Hit that bell, guys. We are going to be here every single week. Remember, Fallout Monday, Preview Wednesday, live fights on Saturday right here on MMA Weekly, the most trusted source in news and entertainment in MMA for almost 20 years. Jim Grieshaber, call me Grease with Jeff Cain, powered by CBD Emporium. 3-level StayMade.com to get 50% off with the code MMA50. We out-talk the music. We got to get out of here. It's a Saturday night. We really appreciate you guys. For Jeff and our entire team, I'm Grease saying keep your game tight and your mind right. We are out.